All characters and events based in this podcast, even those based on real people, are entirely fictional. All celebrity voices are impersonated, poorly. The following program contains coarse language, and due to its content, it should not be listened to by anyone.
Rated
TV 14. I'm sorry.
If there was a pot-bellied elephant, you would want one.
Yes. It would be
100%.
adorable. Yes.
So it is a good idea.
It kind of, it actually reminds me of Aladdin. I think when he holds the elephant, I'm picturing it would be like that size in your hand.
Yeah.
Like at the bad Aladdin that you always say is bad. That one where he's like holding the elephant.
I say wait, what Aladdin do I say is bad?
The third one.
Oh, he is holding an elephant.
Yeah.
He
uses the trunk.
Yeah.
To push air.
And then he turns it the other way and he's like, I don't want to use that end.
Yeah, right. That's the joke. And then he sits it down because it's like out of air and it's like winded.
That's right.
But that's the size I'm expecting out of this cute little pig elephant.
A house elephant.
Horrible hybrid monstrosity that they're trying to do here.
If they pulled it off, it would have been worth it.
Yeah, but they went about it the entirely the wrong way.
Well, that's your opinion.
That is my opinion.
Hello, everybody. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Rachel.
And this is Shelf Life, a podcast where a brother and sister team put Worcestershire sauce on everything and also go through pop culture one subject at a time through all types of genres, be that TV, movie, comic book, wrestling, sports entertainment, etc., 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 etc. And today, we continue our path in Volume 3 of Shelf Life. We actually are continuing something that we were doing in Volume 2. Rachel, what is our continuation of the shelf today?
Today, we will be looking at Season 1, but it's like in the middle of Season 1, or is it Season 1?
Middle. We're in the middle.
So we are looking at Season 1 of South Park once again.
Yes. So we are back in South Park, Colorado. We are going through the episodes one by one. We did the first 4 episodes back in Volume 2 of Shelf Life. So go check out the back catalog for that. A lot of fun discussions. Some righteous anger from Rachel during Big Al's Big A boat ride, of course. And today, however, we are continuing with episode 5 of South Park. Rachel, what is it called? I just want you to know.
I don't know. An elephant makes love to a pig.
Yes.
This is what I mean by they went about it in the wrong way. All right?
So the original title for this episode...
Was there a different title?
According to Matt and Trey, and I don't know if they were joking. I feel like they actually submitted it this way. The original title was called An Elephant Fucks a Pig.
No.
Because...
No.
If an elephant were to lay on top of a pig, it wouldn't be making love to it. It would be fucking it.
Well, I'm sorry, but an elephant would have just killed the pig. It wouldn't have even worked, so...
Well, that's what's funny about this, is that Fluffy, the pot-bellied pig...
tiny.
Is
it's like
very
a teacup
cute.
pig. I don't even know if it's a pot-bellied pig. It is like a tiny teacup pig, which I guess is a pot-belly, but, teeny tiny, because you don't feed it too much.
Adorable.
And very adorable.
But they also made that the female, and the elephant is the male.
Joke. Get it?
Yeah. I think if you flipped it, maybe you could make something work.
Could you? I think it has to be done in test tubes anyways. But,
Very clearly, very, very, very clearly.
Yeah.
So obviously we're getting into the very silly side of South Park with this episode.
Silly. Vulgar.
I think so.
Vulgar silliness.
I think it also has to be like a pun, because Chef says it later, of it being an elephant and a pig, because those could be ways that you could describe like a person too. So an elephant makes love to a pig.
Right. Wow. Okay. Interesting.
I
feel like nowadays if they made this episode it would have been an elephant and a donkey. and they would have made it political.
I could also see that. Yeah. So well, first, Rachel, what's the synopsis of what happens in An Elephant Makes Love to a Pig?
Kyle has an elephant, and Cartman has a pig.
That's right.
And they talk about they want to have a pig-sized elephant, so it could be in the house.
That's right.
And so scientific shenanigans happen.
Yeah. Scientific shenanigans.
Okay.
That's fair.
And it's for, like, the science fair, too, at school, because, you know, Garrison's just an awful teacher.
Yeah, he's kind of the worst teacher.
He's just an awful human being, but, you know, we'll get to all of that.
He may be screen's worst cinematic teacher. We'll have to find that out.
Oh, I'm curious now. Yeah, who is the worst teacher?
Yeah, folks at home, let us know. Like, your top 5 worst teachers. Yeah, that's an interesting question. Because there's got to be
I have
more
to, like,
out there.
Miss Frizzle.
A worst teacher?
No. No, because you said top. See, don't confuse me.
Okay.
You said top. Wait, I guess I want the top 5 and the bottom 5. But I'm thinking, like, Miss Honey, Miss Frizzle, top. Right?
Okay. This will be another Shelf Life. This is going to be a bonus episode where Rachel starts going through the top teachers of film and screen. You putting Dumbledore on there, or is he in danger?
Dumbledore would be on the other side. He's also like in the administration more so than a teacher at this point.
That's true. We
don't know what
principal.
he's like as a teacher.
Krabappel?
Oh, the recess ones. Oh, that's interesting. Interesting thoughts about a Krabappel. That's a good one to also think about. Oh, we're gonna have to get a list of teachers.
This is a real thing now. We're gonna have to do.
I like this. Yes.
This episode debuted at the beginning of school year. This episode debuted on September 10th, 1997. Directed by Trey Parker, written by Parker Stone and Dan Sterling. And exactly as Rachel said, that is kind of what the story's about. The purpose for it, twofold. The idea for this came from, according to Trey and Matt. Matt was always obsessed with the idea of having a pot-bellied elephant because he thought it would just be really awesome to have an elephant that could run around your house and like you could have it as a pet.
Right. Yeah, I could see it.
So
I could see it.
He's taking kind of the Kyle side of this with being the kid that wants that as a option. This is also where you find out that like they wanted one of the kids to be smart, so they had like Kyle be like the smart one of the group. And then the other side of the story with Stan, that comes from Trey, and Trey says that his sister, when he was growing up,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
3 years older than him, and she would just beat the shit out of him all the time.
I mean, that's kind of sad.
And he says that she denies it. Like now that they're like adults, she's like, "No, I didn't do that."
No, I
but like
didn't.
he's like, "Yeah, you beat the shit out of me constantly."
You actually did.
Yeah. In the commentary, like one of the funny things he says is like, "Yeah, by the time I like finally got to the point where I could defend myself, I was like, 26, 27, and then she stopped wanting to fight me."
Of course, he would say he was in his 20s.
That's a thing, right? Rachel used to try to beat the shit out of me.
We wrestled because of wrestling stuff, so we would try to do like pile drivers and ankle locks and stuff, but it wasn't like to hurt each other.
No, but you would get mad at me a fair amount as the little sister and try to like.
Yeah, I was a pain in the ass.
Rachel's favorite thing to call me was a moron. She
really
she loved calling me a moron.
Yes, for some
Still
reason.
does, but
because it was the
it's the perfect word for it.
It was the strongest swear I was like allowed to say. I think, and because I could just call you it, and it was like, yeah, that's what's gonna get him. I'm gonna call him a moron.
That got me, all right. That's what got me.
I don't know. It did make you mad a lot of the times.
Well, because the hard part was I could tease you and shit, being the older brother, but you just would get mad and call me a moron, and then just, like, I don't know if you'd hit me. I can't remember being, like, hit. But I do feel like you would just kind of, like, get mad and, like, storm off. Probably be
that sounds about right.
And then Mom and Dad would, like, roll their eyes at me, like, why would you do that? It's like, I'm just making fun of her. What's the big deal? But no, I don't think that we beat the crap out of each other in that.
No,
segment.
not for like a black eye and like actually looking like abuse. No.
Let's get right into it. Let's get into I almost said man makes love to a pig. I guess that does happen in this episode.
Well,
Elephant makes love to a pig.
Spoiler alert.
We start at the bus stop, and as you said, Stan has a black eye for being beat up by his sister. I listened to the commentary for this one too, and Trey and Matt, they're both mad at the way that the animation looks, and they're happy at the way the animation looks. They're like, look, the animation's getting better. They still are mad at how they block shots and stuff because they just haven't figured out how to do any of that yet. They're learning. They're learning how to frame stuff. So it is funny to listen to that. Yeah, it looks cleaner. And the rest of the group is making fun of Stan because he's gotten beat up by his sister, and Cartman is doing I never let a woman beat me up. If women try to beat me up, I tell her, hey! Get your ass back in the kitchen, or whatever.
Yeah, of course. The same crap that guys are still using to this day.
I would never let a woman kick my ass. If she tried anything, I'd be like, hey, you get your bitch ass back in the kitchen and make me some pie.
My parents don't even believe that she beats me up. They think she's all innocent and sweet, but I know that she's an evil bitch.
Be a man, Stan. Just say, hey, women, you shut your mouth and make babies.
Cartman's kind of the original, like, internet scumbag
Troll?
Yeah.
Scummy dude troll.
It's hilarious to think that, like, there's people out there that don't realize that they're
actually a scummy dude troll.
They're Cartman. You know what I mean?
Is that a good insult to be like, my God, you are just Cartman?
Yeah, it's an insult. Like, clearly it's an insult.
You're just a Cartman.
Yeah.
We're gonna make this happen.
So, as they're having this conversation, I like the pan, because Stan goes, hey, Kyle, what's with the elephant?
Yes,
and it pans.
he just has it on a leash.
He just has this pet elephant on a leash.
Yep.
And he's got it with him. So they explain that Kyle got this elephant mail-ordered from Africa, which tells you that we are in the silly side of South Park where anything can happen and nothing has to make sense. They're just having fun with the world.
Weird stuff, yep.
Absurdity. Kyle can't keep him in the house because his mom says that he's too big. So they aren't quite sure what to do with this elephant. The bus comes, and we get a special ed joke because they're trying to figure out how they can get the elephant on the bus, but Miss Crabtree is like, the elephant's too big, because they try to say it's like a mentally challenged kid. Yeah. So you get a special bus?
The special bus.
Is that what it was called? Yeah.
The small bus? What was it called?
Small bus? Short bus? Short bus.
Short bus?
Man, you can tell that
she calls it the special ed bus, but
she calls it the special ed bus, but
bus.
Yeah, if you were saying it as an insult, I think it was always called the short bus.
Right.
You can tell that hasn't been used in 20 years because you and I can't remember what you were even supposed to say.
No. Because it doesn't even make sense to be an insult. And you're like, I'm like going, it's not really an insult.
I feel like there's a lot of areas too. I think our area did. The short bus was not reserved for special ed.
No, it was kind
just
of like
if there weren't as many kids on that route.
Special ed kids who might need help getting into the bus or getting to school, or like anybody who got left behind by accident, was late to the bus, like they would just get on that bus.
Yeah, there was a late bus. There was a bus that would take you if you had like after school activities.
Yeah, that too.
Small bus that would take you home too.
Right.
There was a ton of that kind of stuff.
Oh my God, yeah.
So it never really worked, but you know what they were trying to do. Which is interesting how they said they did say special ed bus. So they get on, the elephant gets left behind, they just leave him standing on the side of the road. As they're getting on the bus, Cartman is like, yeah, he's doing another, like, if a woman tried to tell me something. And I do love that Miss Crab, she's like, sit down and shut up. And he's like, oh, okay. And just sits down. It's perfect.
He's all talk and nothing else.
Like most of these trolls that are fucking idiots. Mr. Garrison is actually trying to teach something. Because he's surprise. Talking them through genetic engineering. And Kyle asks him, is it possible to make an elephant smaller? Because he's trying to get this elephant in the house.
Right.
So I don't think he's actually thinking... He almost wants to think, like, can you shrink something?
I think that's more so what he wants, is to be able to shrink his current pet into a smaller size.
Right. Because I feel like, I mean, we did this with dogs, where you, like, can make dogs smaller
Designer
or bigger.
dogs.
Designer dogs, which are terrible things for a lot.
Some are. Sometimes they do it so that they can help their genetics, though.
Right. Yeah, like some of these that have
pugs
been...
aren't allowed to have small noses
have those
anymore.
small noses,
They have
yeah.
to be a certain length, otherwise you get in trouble for breeding them a certain way.
Right. Or I think, like, some of the dogs that have a lot of joint problems, they, like, will breed them with dogs that historically don't, so that
Right,
kind
so
of
they're really
helps.
trying to help them have,
Yeah.
like, less diseases and cancers and all of that kind of stuff, but no, there are really bad designer dogs out there, too, that are just like, you're just hurting this animal at this point.
Right. Well, they did that with, like, horses and stuff, too. Like, don't they, like, they'll either try to find, like, small or big horses or something. Like, if they want to, like, make a mini horse,
I think
like,
so.
that's how
I think
mini
they do
horses came
something
about,
like that.
right? They just kept breeding the smallest horses of the litters or whatever, and I feel like that's how it came about. Like, I
actually
feel
don't
like
know the horses one.
I feel like if you took, like, hundreds of years and you kept breeding the smallest elephants, you could get one down to a manageable size.
Probably, but is that also hurting the species?
I'm sure it would be, like, really fucked up. Like, it would be really
Right.
terrible, but it might be doable. I'm sure there's a billionaire
Oh, of course
somewhere
there is.
that is trying to make a pot-bellied elephant. I
Yeah.
guarantee it.
Oh, yeah.
And if
That's
that billionaire...
what Elon Musk has taken to the Mars with him, is like a tiny little elephant pig.
I was about to say, if that billionaire wants to sponsor the show, we'll help you get there. We'll spread propaganda about pot-bellied elephants being a good idea.
It's a great idea.
Nothing could possibly go wrong.
Possibly go wrong.
There's another group in the class, like another group of boys, that says that they could clone a human before Kyle was able to get a pot-bellied elephant. Garrison says they might want to go to the genetic engineering lab, and they could make the whole thing about the science fair. It could be this whole thing where Kyle and friends are trying to make a pot-bellied elephant, and they end
Bully
up...
kid? Like,
Well,
what is his name?
His
Do we
name
know
is
his name?
Terrence.
Oh, he's Terrence.
So they
okay.
obviously
Terrence and Philip.
repurposed Terrence for Terrence and Philip in the next
Right.
episode, but they just call him Terrence in this. I don't think he ever comes back. His friends are the so guy.
Yeah, that's all they
guys.
do the
Yeah.
entire time.
Yeah,
The entire
they're
time.
those guys.
They're the
So they
little
end-
lackeys in the background that just repeat everything and then call everything gay.
Yeah,
It's literally what
I-
they're there for.
Well, I like that they're just so stupidly pointless in the
Oh,
background.
it's great.
They're kind of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Kyle says they'll use Cartman's pig, Fluffy, and Cartman is against this because
Well,
he's
he's
like,
very protective.
I do think that Fluffy ends up in a few episodes. Like the pets
Oh,
of South Park are
potentially.
used here and there. Like Sparky's in the background every once
Right.
in a while.
Yes.
I think he's in the back. He's like in the front yard in one of the scenes coming up, and Fluffy I think is kind of similar. Mr. Garrison asks Stan to stay behind.
He's actually doing a
Because-
good thing here. Yes.
Yeah, like if
I'm
this
very
was
surprised with this
if
man.
if this was I mean, it is a legitimate issue. Sibling abuse, I feel like, is a legitimate issue.
I would think that's still like a domestic issue. in a
Yeah,
way.
I don't.
So
It needs to be handled.
he's seeing it
differently.
stupidly. Yeah.
Yeah, but he gives him some cocoa, and he's like, "Okay, Stanley, why don't you tell Mr. Garrison what's wrong?" And he thinks that one of his parents is beating Stanley,
Right.
and Stan is like, "I'm getting hit at home. It's my sister." And the second that he finds out that it's his sister, he's like, "Okay, stop wasting my time." And he's
And give me
or
my
stop-
cocoa back. And like,
Yeah, I think he says, "Stop wasting Mr. Hat's time."
it's Mr. Hat's time. Yes, because
Yeah.
Mr. Hat is the counselor of this
Conduit.
meeting.
Yes. It's obviously supposed to be like, not Stan, but Trey saying, you know, if he were to have told anybody that my sister beats me up all the time, nobody would care and everybody would call him
Oh,
a
sure.
pussy.
Especially like the years he was a kid. I
Yeah,
could see
'cause
that
it would have been
being
the
exactly
80s
how
or
it is.
whatever, yeah.
Oh, right. It would definitely be just like well, that's just what they do.
yeah.
Like-
Stand up for yourself.
Like, knock it off.
Poindexter.
Right. You're the guy. Like, you
Yeah.
shouldn't be getting
It
beat
doesn't
up by
matter
a
that you're
girl.
3
yeah.
years younger.
Yeah, and tiny because you haven't hit puberty or anything yet. Like,
Shut up, turd.
oh my god, the amount of in this is
Yeah.
awful.
So, thank you for.
I'm
yes,
so
we
sorry,
meet,
everyone.
No, we're gonna do it the entire time. So I'm gonna have to put like water in my mouth to get it to work. We go to the marshes and we meet Shelly. Shelly is Stan's older sister. She has what do you call it? Metal
A headset, like the new braces headset, where it's like actually like a giant bar that goes around your face.
It
And
goes
stuff.
around your whole face.
So it's like, yeah, she's like
Headgear.
I've never headgear. What did I say?
Yeah, headset.
Oh, headgear.
Yeah, headgear.
But I've never had the headgear. I had braces, but not the headgear. I don't even know if I knew anybody who's had headgear.
I don't either. I feel like it went out of style. I don't think they have to use it as much. I
gotta
feel
be
like in junior
extreme cases, right?
I think in junior high there might have been a kid or two who didn't have just a brace. There might have been like a metal contraption inside the mouth, but I don't know if it ever.
Yeah, usually where it's like a little bit bigger, and then they have
Yeah.
all those rubber bands everywhere.
Yeah, just a ton of shit in there. But I don't
Yeah.
remember if there was anything where it would be like you were wearing like a football helmet on your head.
Right.
I feel like that's like no longer existed when we were
If you
kids.
guys ever went through that, where you had the headgear, tell us about it, because I'm
Yeah.
like just really curious. But that's what Shelly has, is
Yeah.
this like metal bar that goes around her head.
Yeah, folks at home, let us know. Folks, younger listeners that are listening to, especially to this episode, with permission from their parents, let us know if that's still a thing.
Yeah, what are
Headgear.
braces like nowadays?
Or I guess like the Gen Zs, the folks that are a little younger than us that are listening. Like, was this a thing? Like, did you know any of this? Like, is that
Right.
still a thing?
Is
Or
this
the
like
older,
wait, I've never heard of these things before.
yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's what I want to
Like,
know.
what is this on these people's faces? Or the older listeners, like, did you have it? Because
Oh, right.
like we're saying, we aren't sure if we remember anybody having it.
We're kind of in that middle.
Yeah, that's
Invisalign is
millennials
like
are.
the thing now, and then
They're
like
the
before
bridge.
that was like the braces.
Right. I mean, I had braces, you had braces,
Yeah.
but we didn't have the headgear.
No,
So Shelly beats the crap out of Stan, and
because she picks the fight.
because
She
he
like
was
full on just wants to take it out on him, and he's right. She is
Yeah.
literally just taking it out on him because she's
Yeah.
pissed off about the headgear.
I could see though an older sibling doing that. It
Oh, yeah.
makes sense because it's just
Like, are
like
you looking at
I
my
don't-
headgear?
I don't have any. I don't have anybody to do it to. I'm gonna beat up this little turd. Shut up, turds.
Did she call him a turd? No.
I don't know if she calls him a turd now. She might not call him that the
That's
entire
like his
episode.
thing.
But
That's like the
that's-
thing, though. He's
yeah.
the turd.
yeah, that's her. That's her catchphrase, is calling them
Right.
all turds. So she throws him around. She drops a TV on his head. She eventually throws
With
him out
Jesus
the
on
window. She was watching Jesus in Pails, which is interesting. And throws him out the window, and the boys are there
With the pig.
because with Fluffy because they're gonna go to the genetic engineering lab and they're coming by to grab Stan.
Right.
Cartman does another rant about women because Stan clearly got
course.
beaten up. This time, Shelly's like, "What did you say?"
Yup.
And Cartman backs down again because he's like, he points at Kenny. He's like, because she says, "Who said that?"
Yeah, and then he
Yeah.
points at Kenny. Of course.
So Fluffy's with. She's a cute little potbelly pig,
Oh yeah.
and they also have the elephant with them from the ranch. This is in the commentary where they talked about like they didn't understand how to shoot perspective yet, so they're all just standing in a line. They don't have like depth to them at any point. But I think that also is part of the charm of that kind of like construction paper feel.
Right.
'Cause
Yeah, where it's
they're-
all like this is the layer,
it's all
that's
just a
the
flat-
layer. Right.
As the boys argue, they're just getting to a normal arguing match where they're calling each other slurs and stuff like that.
Of course, as children do.
They're just going back and forth. As they're doing that, they are met by Mephisto.
Kind of sounds like a mob boss almost.
Okay, so Mephisto is based... So he is the resident geneticist or genetic
Yeah.
engineer. So he's
Mad
kind
scientist.
of
Look.
Exactly. Yeah, he's a mad scientist. He's based off of Marlon Brando. And he's
Okay.
based off of Marlon Brando specifically from the island of Dr. Moreau.
Okay.
So, Rachel, I
Interesting.
doubt you'd
Never
ever have
watched
seen this. No.
No.
We'll put it on the list because it's apparently one of like the worst movies ever made. But I feel like it's one of the worst movies ever made because of what people know about the history behind the movie.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh,
I
this could be
don't
an interesting
know-
episode then for us
Yeah,
to do
I
later
don't.
on.
I don't know if the movie will hold up to that standing or not, but apparently because Marlon Brando was insane, as we outlined in Superman,
Right.
that he had a lot of demands on set for the Island of Dr. Moreau, and he was wearing in the movie, I think he wears this like Hawaiian muumuu. So that's why Mephisto's wearing a Hawaiian shirt. It's why he has a little creature thing.
Oh, right. He does have a
with
little
him.
creature, doesn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. Because in the movie, Marlon Brando befriended the world's smallest man and insisted that he'd be in the movie with him. Just a lot of weirdness. So that's Mephisto. He is a Marlon Brando based character.
Is that so? You're saying that's the movie with the little guy and the weird? Is it an island? You said.
Yeah.
So okay, I think I know what movie you're talking. Is this the plane? The plane?
No, that is Fantasy Island.
Oh damn it!
The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Oh, I thought I had it.
Island of Dr. Moreau is the story where it makes sense for this character to be a Dr. Moreau type, because that story is about genetic engineering and DNA splicing, because like he's taking human DNA and he's making people into like pig monsters and stuff. He's like splicing animals into human DNA is what Moreau. It's about eugenics. It's a eugenics metaphor. It's parodied also in Mini-Me and Dr. Evil with the pianos.
Yeah.
In whatever that's from Island of Dr. Moreau.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like I know what you're talking about because
Yeah.
I've never seen it. It's like really hard to like.
Yeah,
bring
I've
it
never
up
seen
and
it
bring back.
either. I think How Did This Get Made covered it, but they mostly talk about the background stuff because of like
Okay.
how crazy everything in the background is. So Mephisto tells the boys that their idea is brilliant. Giant elephant pigs. So
That's what he wants. Is the giant,
wants-
not the small.
yeah, and they're like, no. We want to have elephants that are the size of pigs, because then you could have like little pet elephants. And he's like, okay, that idea is even better. So he takes them into the lab, and you get to see some different spliced stuff.
Yes.
Rachel, anything that stood out to you in particular about the different genetic experiments that he was doing?
Well, they were very interesting. Are you talking about like the first set or the second set that he shows us?
Either. What was your favorite of either of the sets?
One thing we know that he's got he really likes butts.
Yeah, he has a multi-ass fetish.
I did notice before the butts part was that he has this weird cane, and I thought it was balls, not butts. So I'm kind of glad it was a butt, not a ball.
Though, right? It is
a butt. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it's a butt. Like after the fact, I was like, okay, it's butt. It's not a.
Yeah.
You know. I did like the one that Cartman points out, the fish.
The
that
bunny
are crossed
fish.
with rabbits, but they're actually just, they have like rabbit ears, like
Yeah, they just have
tied
rabbit
on
ears
with
tied on.
string. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well that makes you think like, oh, this is all fake. This isn't gonna this is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of it, they all have like a bunch of butts. It's so weird.
There's a monkey with 4 asses.
Yes.
A 4-assed ostrich and a mongoose. A rat spliced with a duck.
Oh right, yes.
A gorilla with a mosquito.
Yeah.
Swiss cheese with chalk and a beard.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, the beard cheese thing. Yeah.
Beard cheese chalk, I think
Beard
is
cheese
what you're-
chalk. Beard
Yeah.
cheese
Beard
beard chalk.
Yeah, but that's how we're
Beard
gonna.
cheese chalk. Yeah.
We'll warm up by saying beard cheese chalk from now on. Trey said that during high school and stuff, he would doodle pictures of like animals spliced together. So like that gorilla spliced with a mosquito and stuff like that.
That's actually a lot of the time in like an art class they'll have you do something like that too, where you're like trying to put two things together and like make something like that. So I could see him just like wanting to put like weird animals and making like chimera characters and stuff, but
Mephisto tells them that unfortunately he never really. I mean, it doesn't make any sense other than to get to the next point, because why were you able to do these other animals? But he tells them that elephant and pig DNA will not splice.
right, which I think is supposed to be a lie.
I think so too, except for then Chef tells them the same thing and gives them the same reason, which is it's
Chef
in a
is
Loverboy
Chef.
song.
Yes, but Chef is Chef, and I think that's just how he would think of stuff, right?
That's true.
I think he's lying just because obviously what happens is he takes Stan's blood at the same time and saying, oh, yeah, well, I can't do that. You guys have to leave. But thank you for your blood. I'd like some hair. That's like...
Yes.
Because he leads them in coming going, oh, yes, I would love to splice an elephant
That's
with
true.
a pig. Why would you bring them inside if you already knew what they wanted? Like,
Yeah.
and you knew it wasn't going to work.
That's true. That's fair. Yeah, so like you said, he takes Stan's blood just out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
And then they all, like, run out because they're like, oh, he's like a mad scientist. He's crazy. I
Right.
love that. They're like, come on, Fluffy! And Fluffy, like, reeks out of there with them. It's very cute. The next scene, they must have been short on time. So they
Okay.
needed to add something because there's this scene with Pip. And
oh, yeah.
the animation is totally different. It's clearly from the pilot when they actually were using construction paper because it's so much worse. And you can tell it's so much worse.
They did try to do the perspective, though, with the line
They did
that
try.
were standing in. Yeah.
Yeah, they did try, and it made, like, the shadows. So then, after Pip comes by, we get Terrence and the That's Guy guys, and they've showed the boys, in another moment of absurdity, that they've cloned a freestanding
Yep.
foot.
Yep.
It's
And
just
it
a
moves
foot.
around on its own. Yeah. So they got somewhere, at least. You know, they have a foot that moves. It's great.
I kind of want to know if there would be a purpose to just having a foot that has
I mean,
a
I
mind
guess
of
if
its
you
own.
think about it like Thing,
Yeah,
a hand
that's
from
what I
like
was
the
thinking.
Addams Family, but like what's
Uh-huh.
the foot gonna do? Like the hand at least is like a hand, and you know it
Well,
can
what's the
do
hand
stuff.
gonna do? I guess
What's
it's
the
true.
foot gonna do?
Walk?
Did you just do what the dog do?
No, I said what? Yeah, what? I mean, what's a foot gonna do? Walk, I guess.
Yeah, it's just gonna walk. You know, it kicks things. It's good for kicking.
It's good for kicking, I guess.
Stepping
So-
on stuff.
Rachel, there's a whole corner of the internet out there that would want a freestanding foot with its own mind, I'm sure.
Of course they would.
I'm
Of course
sure.
they would.
So the boys go to Chef, and he says that won't work because, and again he repeats because haven't they ever heard that Loverboy song?
And starts singing.
I don't know what Loverboy is, and it's weird because am I just too
Is it real?
young? I think it's a real band. I think it's a real thing from the 80s, I think. Folks at home, I feel like we have to learn what Loverboy is. Rachel's looking it up. She's like, I gotta find out. I gotta get a glimpse of these
Oh my god,
warlocks.
it is. Okay.
Do they have a song called Pig and Elephant DNA Just Won't Splice?
Well, there's a Loverboy. Okay, hold on. Rock band. It's a Canadian rock band. They are obsessed with Canada. Anyways.
Well, they're from Colorado, you know, it's kind of the same thing. It's cold and whatever.
So what you're asking me is if there's a song called that? I don't know
No,
if there's
I-
a song called that.
Clearly
guess
there
let me
was not a song called that. They're just-
Elephant. Okay, here we go.
We're just like, oh yeah, look at that.
Maybe they have weird lyrics. Maybe that's the whole thing, is that they have weird lyrics. And so it's like not unquestionable that they would actually have something with that in it.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just that they picked a band because they.
Oh, are
tend
they
to do
working for
that.
the weekend? No.
Yeah, I think they're working for the weekend.
Interesting. Anyways.
So anyway, so Chef thinks it could be a good idea. They could make a fortune off of it by having pot-bellied elephants. He's on board. If they want to combine them, there's only one way to do it, and that's to
Yes.
have them make sweet, sweet love. And they're like, well, how? Like a pig and an elephant aren't going to make sweet love to each other. They're just not going to do that.
Right.
And that's when Chef tells them, yeah, you have to get them good and drunk.
Like I do. Is what he says. It's
Yeah, you know,
like, oh boy.
it's a thing. That's a thing. That's how
Yeah,
it works.
It's a bad thing sometimes.
Stan, I'm just gonna leave that there. Stan
Yeah,
is
just
trying.
leave it. It's totally fine. Let it sit.
Stan is trying to get the guys to come over so that he won't get beat up, and Cartman again does another little rant about women. This time it's very, very, very specific.
Oh, very specific.
And
Very dark.
Might be kind of revealing to what might be going on with Mrs. Cartman and
You know, at home.
Eric.
If some girl tried to kick my ass, I'd be like, hey, why don't you stop dressing me up like a mailman and making me dance for you while you go and smoke crack in your bedroom and have sex with some guy I don't even know on my dad's bed? talking about? I'm just saying you're just a little worse. That's all.
So there you go. And the boys are just
Yeah.
staring at him and
Like,
don't
wait a
say
minute.
anything. And they're like,
Like, they
Herman,
even are
what
like-
the hell are you talking about? Yeah.
Uh,
Kyle tries to give some advice here and says, if you just tell Shelly that you love her, that you're my sister and I love you, she won't beat you up. So Stan tries this in vain because she
Yes, he
just
does
beats him
try
up
it.
anyway.
I can't tell if it makes her more mad. Like, oh my god, I can't believe you just said that. I'm gonna beat you up for saying that.
I think that's kind of the idea, is that
Okay.
like you're such a like wuss. I'm just gonna beat the crap out of you for saying that.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like, oh my
I
God,
think
like,
that's right.
Oh, like gross.
kinda-
Ew, I'm your sister.
I-
Why would you say that? Ew.
It's so gay. I want.
Either gay.
It's so gay. I kind of want to know, folks at home, were you was your sibling? Did you beat up your? What was the? Did you have?
What was the
this kind of-
dynamic? Yeah.
Yeah. Because like
Did
we
you like
said,
ignore each other? Do you guys beat the crap out of each other? Did you actually enjoy each other's company?
Yeah. What was the dynamic there? With the siblings, did you have a Shelly Stan story that you could share? So one Stan says after he's getting the crap beaten out of him, he says one day he'll be bigger than her, and he's gonna beat her up.
Right.
And then it shifts. Like the next scene, we actually find out there's a reveal. There's two reveals. We get a reveal that Mephisto is Terrence, the other kid, the bully kid,
Yes.
his dad,
Right.
which never comes back, I don't think, ever again in South Park history.
No, but Mephisto does come back, right?
Mephisto comes back.
So
yeah.
he probably just genetically did something to his child, and like
That's-
now he's just like
That's probably true.
sent him off for something. I don't know.
Yeah.
His
I
child
like
probably
that.
was some type of weird genetic mutation too.
That's
I
true.
bet.
I bet. Yeah, the child's probably just like a clone of him or something. I bet.
Right.
Yeah. I like that canon. I like that head canon. Yeah. What he does to Stan at the Stan clone at the end of this, he probably did to the other
Yeah, there you go.
some sort of genetic monstrosity.
Exactly.
But we also find out that they're growing a clone of Stan, and you can tell it's a clone of Stan because he has the red poofball hat on.
Yes, because when you clone, your clothes also come with you.
In the South Park world, the red poofball hat is a part of Stan.
That's
clearly.
right. That's right. Yes.
And Rachel, he took that blood through Stan's coat.
This is also true. You took the
So-
fibers. You know, you got
Yeah,
the blood
he
and
took the
fibers in
with.
there.
Yeah. So I don't know how the poofball hat comes in with the coat, but it's all a one piece,
Yeah, it's
all
it's
collected.
Yeah, it's a
This
collection.
This episode
a
really, I think, is very accurate to the science.
Oh my god, yes, of course, yeah.
In every in
So
every
accurate
respect.
in every way.
Yeah. I think if you put this in front of Neil deGrasse Tyson, he'd be like flawless. There's
Beautiful.
nothing
Teach
to
this
say.
in schools.
Yes. Especially if you're trying to get a pig drunk, it only needs a trough of beer, and if you're trying to get an elephant drunk, you need the entire keg.
Right.
I think entirely true. So they're getting this elephant and pig drunk, exactly how I just described it.
Exactly how you described it.
And the boys are like, okay, they're drunk, we think, but they're not really doing anything. And Chef's like, well, you need to set the mood, children. So Chef starts singing a song to get them in the mood. And
course.
with cameo from Elton John.
Yes, Elton
Elton
John
John
comes
makes
in
a
as
cameo.
backup and then then leaves. You know?
I love the little claps that
Yeah,
the kids
like,
do.
oh yes.
The boys do. And of course, because it's South Park and because Chef is the master
Of
at
love.
getting the mood. That's right. Yes. The elephant and the pig start moving closer together, and then they start having sex.
Yes.
And
And
you
so
get
does like
some-
everybody in town, I think, too, because there's like a
Oh,
shot of
yeah,
everybody,
that's
all
right.
like all the houses.
Yeah, well, because they could hear Chef.
That's
Like,
right.
When Chef bellows out his
Sexy
making
melodies.
Yeah, that's
like,
right. I like the way that you put that. Yeah. Then everybody's listening to it. There's some terrifying sounds from. I kind of wish that they were even more disturbing sounds coming from this elephant pig. Like you could tell
Yeah.
Fluffy's not really having it, but I wish that there were like even grosser, more disturbing sounds. Because
Just
Chef is
really
telling,
lean into it.
Yeah, because Chef is telling the boys, like, oh, this is like the
This is
miracle of
beautiful.
life.
It's
Yeah.
like, no, it's not. This is an abomination.
Yeah, and even Chef has to kind of he kind of has a look on his face like, yeah, this is not right.
Right. They're gonna regret this in the morning.
Chef has a really funny line here that Trey and Matt were afraid to have Isaac say. They were like, Isaac's dirtier than we are, so he doesn't care.
And watch the wonders of life, the beauty of Mother Nature.
Oh, sick! Fluffy!
Now I know how all those white women must have felt.
I know, it's horrible. It's hilarious, but
I thought
horrible.
that was pretty funny. I thought that was a funny
great.
line.
But it's like, whoa.
So now the deformed Stan clone is fully sized, and it's this giant head.
Yes.
It has one arm that's like long and thin, like
yes.
too
Like speaking
long
of
and thin.
abominations.
Yeah. It's got like a one giant tooth,
Yes.
and like not all of like its hair is formed, or some of its like it's not shaped correctly.
It's like stringy, yeah.
And Mephisto
He's bulbous, I guess you could say.
yes, bulbous is a good
Yeah.
word. And Mephisto is like, "What have we done? We've made this monstrosity." Mephisto
Right.
is
And
just
he
Cartman
wanted to destroy
with,
it.
Yeah, I guess Cartman is kind of got Marlon Brando because like I was doing Mephisto, but it's just Cartman with a little.
Yeah, you just gotta go brr for
Yeah.
Cartman, and you're there.
So he wants to get rid of it, and his son wants to keep it because he's like, "No, we have the science fair coming up. We need to have this so that we can win the science fair."
Right.
Does the son do something to allow the Stan clone to break free, or does the Stan clone just break free and start running amok? I cannot remember. But in any event, the Stan clone gets out of its tube, and
Yeah, it's like in a bubble of like fluid.
some sort of liquid.
I think he just breaks out,
Okay, yeah, he just breaks out and he starts like running amok. He like gets out,
kills
Of
the
the-
frog with many butts, and moves on.
throws it at
Yeah.
the wall, yeah, and just starts running amok. Does not treat the frog with the same respect as Amy, the
No.
gorilla,
It's horrible.
in the Congo, when she pulls it out or knocks the frog off the.
It's just so rude.
And
Amy's a good gorilla, though. This is bad.
oh yeah, this
He's
is bad. Me bad.
Me bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's me bad. So the Stan clone only says two things, and I'm gonna probably say them in the wrong order, but he says me bad or Stan bad,
Right.
and then he says chomp a chewy chomp, but chewy chomp.
Right.
And
yes.
that's all he can say. The commentary is really funny because Trey like says that really, really fast, and you can tell it's like very accurate and precise as to
Of course.
how they were supposed to say it. Because he's like, yeah, so he goes, Matt and I went back and forth on saying bachompa chewy chompy chomp, bachompa chewy chomp, and like he says the way he says it, you know, it's exactly specifically the way that it was supposed to be said.
The way he had it like written.
Yeah.
It's great. I love that. Of course,
So-
you would have it like specifically like no. You got to put the chewy chomp. You can't do
Yeah.
chewy chomp.
It's not bachewy chewy chomp. It's bachewy chomp.
chewy chomp.
It feels like it's something that like they would probably do to each other or something like that.
I don't even know if it's like to mess with them or it's like no. This is literally like what I need it to be. Like I'm very
Yeah.
specific on this.
So we go to the morning after,
Right.
where we have the pig and the elephant are asleep. The boys and Chef apparently just stayed and waited for them the entire night to wake up.
Yes. Well, because I don't know if they thought it was going to be like an instantaneous type of thing. Because,
Oh,
like,
where yeah.
yeah, I think they thought it was going to be like, okay, now we're going to find out, like, did it work? Like,
Yes.
we have to,
Well,
like,
I
wait
mean,
to
they're-
see what happens.
You know, they're 8-year-old boys. They
right.
don't know.
They don't know
So
how any of this works.
they're like, clearly we are going to know, and clearly it's going to work, because if you have
Oh, yeah,
sex,
of
you become
course.
pregnant. So
I mean-
they're like,
For the fact that they have an adult also telling him this, though, I could see why they believe it.
well, yeah. I mean, Chef's into different stuff, so he doesn't,
Chef's into different stuff.
you know, he's
Wait.
chewy chomp. And
Right.
Chef's like, it's gonna be an ugly sight. And they're like, well, what do you mean? You told us that this was a very special,
Beautiful.
tender thing. And he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's tender till about 9:30 in the morning. And then
Right.
it's bad. Me bad.
And nobody wants to wake up next to a pig.
Yes. This is
Or
where
a
we
big
get
fat elephant.
probably my favorite line of the entire episode.
Man, there's nothing worse than getting all drunk and waking up the next morning next to a pig. Or a big fat elephant.
You could
Where
say
he
it.
says, there's nothing worse than waking up next to a pig. And then the pig looks up, because, like, they look at each other. Like, the elephant looks
Right.
down at the pig, and then
Like, oh my
Chef says
God.
that. And then Fluffy looks up at the elephant, and then he goes, or a big fat elephant. And I just
Yep.
love, it's just a great line. It's just really funny. So Chef tells them that they probably won't know if Fluffy's pregnant for a couple of days.
Right.
I don't know the is it gestation? Yeah. Period of a pig. I think it's got to be fairly comparable to a human because of the way that humans and pigs are essentially made up of the same stuff. I don't know how long you would actually have to take to find out. But the kids are upset about this because they're like, well, we have to win the science fair, and how long is it going to take for this to go down? Because, like, what if it didn't work? Then obviously there's going to be a bigger problem. As they're standing there, Mephisto comes by and asks the boys if they've seen anything odd lately. And they're like, well, we saw an elephant have sex with a pig.
No, he
And
said,
he goes-
we not something odd, not something like...
Because to Mephisto, that would just be, Thursday night.
that-
He's trying a new
right.
experiment.
Also, if you're curious, it says they kind of just talk about, like, oh, if she's not actually in heat at the normal time, then you check for the baby. But it also takes 114 days for 5 to 6 piglets to be born.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. So that's like 6 months or something like that?
Maybe.
Yeah. Interesting.
36, yeah.
So I learned something today.
There you go.
Folks at home, now you can say you learned something. Now you can put the E next to this for educational.
Yeah. Because the science in this is flawless.
Yep. I want everyone out there to spread the good word of how this is exactly how it works. Mephisto says that Stan needs to help him find the Stan clone because they have identical brains. So Stan should be able to help find him.
Because he's going to do whatever Stan would do, technically. Or go where Stan would go, but, like,
Go where Stan would
also
go,
be,
I
like, a
guess.
monster. Like,
Yeah.
the
Well,
monster version of Stan.
I think the joke is also that it's not like he's hard to find. He's just going down the main drag of South Park, just destroying everything.
Right. Like,
So he's on a warpath, and
Yes.
is this the first time we've seen South Park get destroyed by something? It might be.
I think it might be.
Because they avoid it in a volcano.
Right.
Big Al nothing happened. Pilot the town to get destroyed, and Waking 4000 the town to get destroyed. So this is the first time we get to see the town just in flames because of what's happened with the boys.
Right. Shattered and in flames.
He's going nuts. They identify him, the creature, as Stan Marsh. So, like,
Yes,
it's on
I
the
think
news.
because of the poofball hat,
Because
that
of
poofball hat, man.
the poofball hat gives it away. The news is like 8-year-old Stan Marsh is destroying the town, and the police have said to shoot him on sight if you see him,
Right.
which is also good.
I love it, yes.
Oh, also burn his body. They want to burn his body as well.
Yes.
So
And this is also where you find out that he's just yelling, me Stan, and then the ooh, Baba do. What does he say?
Bapa Chewy Chomp.
Baba Dooey Chomp. Yes, thank you.
Get it right.
I'm so sorry.
You apologize to Trey and Matt for writing it very specifically. Stan's clone has wrecked Jimbo's gun shop. He's beat up Mr. Garrison, and they're both like, we're gonna go tell your parents that you're doing this. But they do find Stan's clone, and Stan is able to reason with him because the clone recognizes him. Me, Stan. So they decide to plan to have him meet Shelly because Stan gets it in his head that if he has the clone there,
Right.
the clone will beat up Shelly because the clone's
Because he's bigger. Yep.
So they take him back to the house, and the clone misunderstands and thinks, because Stan says when you see Shelly, she's got a neck brace and
Yes.
headgear.
Yeah, why does she have the neck brace? Like, all
I
of a
don't think
sudden
they
she has
ever
a neck
explain
brace
that.
on? Like,
Yeah,
why do
she's
you,
just
like,
got...
every day it's
That
something
feels
different. Like,
very
headgear.
specific. That feels
like,
almost like
what the
Trey
heck?
Parker remembering something from his childhood. where-
Exactly. I
Yeah.
think it is.
Stan clone misunderstands because when he says Shelly bad to him, the clone goes me bad,
Right.
and he starts just tearing up the house.
Yes.
He ends up kicking Kenny into the microwave.
Yep, and it just turns on automatically.
Very
as
random.
they do.
felt like oh shit, we didn't kill Kenny. We need to kill
There's
him.
got to be some way to kill Kenny. Well, I mean, he is on a rampage. It makes sense for him to be the one to kill Kenny.
Oh, sure. No, I agree. It's just
I
random
honestly,
that he gets...
I think one of the abominations at the science facility would have been great. Like, one of, like, the
Also.
many butt things. Like, he goes up to one and he, like, makes fun of it or something.
Yeah, and tears him up or something. That would have been good, too.
Yeah.
Shelly stares down the clone and asks him, "What are you looking at?" And then she just kind of punches the clone and it falls over. Mephisto shows up at the house and shoots... So he, like, goes like, "Oh, thank you, boys. I didn't know what I was doing. I was playing God." And his son shows up with his friends too, and he's like, "I'm sorry," and he just takes out a gun and just shoots the Stan clone in the head, very, like, matter-of-factly. Yep. I've always thought it's very funny how because they do this a few times in South Park where they'll have, like, the shot. I mean, we saw it in the volcano episode too, I think, where it's just like that shot and you just hear bop, and then the thing, like, falls over dead,
and that's it.
Yeah. So very, very funny, or just in the, like, matter-of-fact manner that he takes this thing out, because he kind of says we shouldn't be toying with God's creations, and then
right. Yes.
Kenny is dead. He's been fried up in the microwave. So Kyle yells at the microwave.
Yep. Instead of the
Stan
genetic
clone.
mutation that's sitting on the ground.
The boys leave because they want to go check on Fluffy, leaving Stan alone to get in trouble because his mom and dad are home, and everyone thinks that Stan destroyed the town, so he's crying and he's upset because he's like, "I'm gonna get in trouble for doing nothing and I didn't even mean to do anything." And...
yeah, it's one of those times where they break down and are a kid. Like, this is exactly how, like, he actually breaks down and cries because he's a kid and he's scared.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "I don't want to get taken away. They're gonna take me away. I want to stay." And it's sad. And Shelly sees this, and then his parents come in.
And Shelly covers for Stan because
Yes,
they're all like, "What did you
sweet.
do, young man? What did you do?" And she covers for him.
Yeah, she's like, "He was with me. Like, he couldn't have done it." And then
which I
they're
think
like,
is
"Oh,
also,
okay."
I think that's probably
That's a
folks at
sibling
home. Folks at home, yeah, that's got to be a sibling thing too, right? Like, even if they beat you up, then they're still covering your ass at the same time. And she proceeds to beat him up by running a lawnmower over him. Right. But I think that it's supposed to be like it's just that dynamic, that, like, mixed dynamic of how these two get along.
Right.
So folks at home, I kind of want to know that too. Like, did your sibling cover for you for doing shit?
Right.
I don't know if we ever had that.
Yeah, we did.
Did we?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
That lamp.
I remember specifically
we
the
knocked
lamp.
over that lamp, and Dad was doing the carpet. He was cleaning the carpets. We both said, "Well, we will never speak of this." And I remember him bringing something up about it, like, "Oh, something seems like loose, or like it was like bent or something." And we're just like,
Let us never speak of it again. Yeah, Dad's never listened to this. For letting him. It's an hour.
We didn't break anything either. I don't even think anything was actually broken.
No, I don't think anything was actually broken.
Like, if it was broken, nothing happened.
Well, because we used to play this game with like almost like not a medicine ball, but like one of those balls you sit on to, like, exercise. Do you remember doing this? I think this is how it happened.
I think it is.
We would put, like, an invisible line in the room, and you'd have to get the ball past each other,
right?
Which was, I don't know how we didn't break something, because we'd, like, you'd have to bounce it on the line, or like you have to bounce it on the invisible line and try to get it past the other person.
Right.
But it was like this big ass ball that clearly could have done a lot of damage.
Oh yeah, of course it could.
And I do remember knocking over that lamp.
Yes.
I'm sure we did other stuff. So we cut to the science fair. The epilogue is in the science fair. And they're like, where's the pig? And they're like, well, the pig hasn't given birth yet. And Garrison's like, well, then I guess you get an F.
Right? Like, what did you expect? Like, that's actual science. Like, it would take that long if they were trying to do something like that.
And Terrence and his friends say, behold, the 5-assed monkey. So they've upgraded
They just stole the 5. Yeah, they just stole it. And
well, they put another ass on it, yeah.
Alright, you're fine, whatever.
And there's light applause. The children in the classroom are very amused by this. So then
Isn't
Fluffy...
that wonderful?
Oh, that is wonderful. And the pig, Fluffy, has given birth, or does give birth, right in the middle of this. And...
No, it is not an elephant.
Which would have been cute, to see a little elephant.
Yeah, I think it would have been interesting.
Instead, what is it, Rachel?
It has glasses and some gray hairs on the side, just like Mr. Garrison.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a face of Garrison, but a body of a pig. Which obviously implies something also horrible happening.
Yes,
obviously
well,
114 days before this.
Yes, and Mr. Garrison is, of course, Mr. Garrison. So,
Right.
I would not put it past him.
Oh, of course not.
The kids are all like, hey, Mr. Garrison looks a little like you. And he's like, oh, yeah, doesn't it? And he immediately just awards it first prize, because I think he's trying to,
that
like...
gets first prize then, so you don't
Yeah.
talk about it anymore.
And the last line of the episode, a reference to Babe, because Cartman just goes, that'll do, pig.
That'll do, pig.
That's right.
That'll do. And that's the end of the episode. So we find out that we don't necessarily find out if we're ever going to have pot-bellied elephants, but we do get that particular new species, I suppose.
I don't... Do you think... It never comes back, but could you imagine if that was, like... It kept breeding?
Oh, that would be horrifying.
Now splice the Garrison pig with an elephant. I don't want it.
Yeah, nope, I'm not going to take it. Rachel, what did you think about this episode, and did you learn anything from this episode?
It was a weird episode. It was a weird one. It was goofy. It was silly. I mean, I liked Stan's little thing about, family was his, like, whole, takeaway. So that was nice, You get that little sibling stuff. I liked the sibling stuff. The splicing was just very silly.
Mm-hmm.
And of course we had
as
chef
it's
singing,
supposed to
so
be.
that's always nice,
Yeah. I mean, it's supposed to be silly, so...
Oh, yeah.
Agreed. It's a very silly episode. I was telling you offline that in my head, in my nostalgia brain, I thought this was like one of the best episodes of the season.
Yeah.
And then after watching, I was like, why did I think that? So I don't know if it's just because of how silly it was that my, like, the little
Your
kid...
kids, yeah. So it's
'Cause
like,
I
oh,
must have-
silly. We like goofy, silly, and...
Yeah, and I must have watched it when I was 10 or whatever. I remember the pig and elephant part being longer, but it's not as long in the actual episode.
No.
It's an extremely stupid episode. Extremely stupid. If I had to point to something I learned about Loverboy, if I had to say I
Oh,
learned
yes.
anything
Oh,
there.
there you go. Loverboy. And that
Yeah.
a gestational period for a pig is 114 days. However,
So now we know.
I had to look that up.
Yeah. Yeah, the episode didn't teach us that.
The
but
episode
we
didn't
learned
teach
it.
me that.
So I don't know how this is going to shake out in my rankings.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting
That's going
once
to
we
be
get to that.
interesting. It really is, because we are going to hit a stretch here where I do think like they're great episodes. So I don't know where this is going to end up falling. But yes, that is an elephant makes love to a pig. We will be right back after a word from our fake sponsor with the next episode of South Park Death.
Coming this Sunday, a major television event that will blow you away. Terrence, villain, in the harrowing made-for-TV drama, Not Without My Anus, based on a true story.
Hey, fella! I have to go to Iraq and find my kidnapped daughter!
Then I'm going to go with you, Terrence.
See Canada's hottest stars in the HBC Movie of the Week.
Wow, kick ass, dude. We have to remember to tape Not Without My Anus next week. Yeah, dude. It looks riveting.
And we're back with South Park Season 1. I really wanted people to wait for that one.
Apparently.
We are going through the episodes of South Park. We are at episode 6. It is the last episode of the first initial run that Comedy Central had agreed upon with Matt and Trey. So that's why there's a break between episodes 6 and 7 in the time when they debuted, because there was a little bit of like, well, how are we going to get all these done if you want us to keep going? So anyway, you'll see that when we talk about the dates that this episode debuted on. Rachel, what is... Oh, I guess I should say that. So episode 6 is entitled Death.
Yes.
And it aired on September 17th, 1997, directed by Matt Stone, written by Trey Parker and Matt Stone. Rachel, what happens in Death?
It's kind of a sad one, to be quite honest, if you think about like what it's actually about. But it's about Stan's grandpa, who's 102.
Yeah, there's no way that he's 102.
He's super old. He's super old and is like done being alive.
Yes.
That's kind of what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
Is there side stuff that happens, or is it just that?
No, there is side stuff that happens. Terrence and Phillip make their debut
Terrence
to the
and
show.
Phillip stuff too, right? Yes, that doesn't really have anything to do with death, but it is like a big part. So then there's also this other side that there's Terrence and Phillip, and the show is, according to parents, bad for kids. So that whole thing happens as well.
The way that they write it, they do make it so that the one storyline does affect the other fairly decently.
That's true.
But yes, they don't really have anything to do with each other until like the very, very end. So there's a couple of things going on.
I guess it could be death to the show, according to the parents, right? They want that to get like knocked off type of deal.
And if they wouldn't have gotten picked up for the extra 7 episodes in season 1, it would have been the end of the show, I guess, presumably, too.
Oh,
potentially.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess so.
They're talking about censorship. They're talking about censorship of a show. And in particular, they're focusing on the very early reaction that some parents had to South Park about how it's all just fart jokes and potty humor. It's terrible for kids.
Right.
And yada, yada, yada. And it's their response to that, or them getting on the forefront of that. And it's also about assisted suicide, I guess.
Yeah, that's why it's like it feels very like opposites to me.
Yeah, and the nobility of like going out the way that you want to go out, I guess. It's heady stuff. It's why they get the reaction that the boys get from everybody when they ask about it. The interesting thing about this is that they very, very much repurpose the Terrence and Phillip stuff from this episode into the movie, because that's the plot of the movie.
Right.
When we get to that, and clearly they had like the outline of it here.
Oh yeah, sure.
So let's get right into it here with Death. It starts out, it is Stan's grandpa's birthday.
Yes.
He looks miserable. There is a ton of candles on the cake, and he can't blow any of them out.
Right.
Because he just has no energy.
They say yay anyways, you know, like, yay. You did it.
Well, one of the interesting things that they do with the old people in South Park is they will have the people that are, you know, middle-aged or younger always patronizing the shit out of the older people.
Sure.
It's kind of different humor than The Simpsons would do, where The Simpsons make fun of old people. South Park does too, but they almost make it so the young people are shitheels to old people because they just patronize them all the time. Mm-hmm. I think it's an interesting dynamic. For you know, you could do the same thing where you're just like old people smell and fart and are falling apart and all that kind of stuff. But they kind of take it as everyone treats them like shit because they act like they're nice around them, but they're really like, yay, good for you. Like they're like treating them like little kids,
like
almost.
Babies at this point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Stan's grandpa wishes he was dead.
Yes.
As we've pointed out.
Yes.
He feels like he's like a burden, I think, is the problem.
Probably.
And that his life is like boring.
Yeah, he doesn't like he just can't do anything as much anymore and everything too. We kind of find more out about that later when he tries to get Stan to understand.
And I think he learned a bad lesson from his grandpa, which we learned later too. And there's no way that he's actually 102, because that would either mean that Randy is way older, or that he had Randy when he was like 60 years old.
We don't know what his grandma's at. We don't know what grandma's
possible. It's possible, I guess. But I think that Randy is just exaggerating.
Swimmers last forever.
Some of them are not very good swimmers after a certain age.
But they still can work.
They still can work. So he wants their help being killed. He's like, why don't any of you help me die? And he's like, I would do it myself, but I'm too old. I can't do it. And Stan, at the same time, wants to go watch Terrence and Phillip. Of course, Terrence and Phillip is nothing but fart jokes. It is these two Canadians that sit there and fart on each other.
Literally, that's what it is. Yeah.
They'll tell you like a line, like, "Oh, I just had some beans, Terrence. Oh, Philip, that's the only thing.
That's exactly it. Yes, good job.
It's brilliant, pure brilliance.
Fart jokes. There you go.
This is the South Park equivalent of Itchy and Scratchy.
Yes.
It's the cartoon or the show within the cartoon, which is making fun of people saying it's bad for you.
Yes.
Where it's like, no, here's really what's bad for you. His grandpa comes in the room with a shotgun and he tries to shoot himself.
He really does. It's so bad.
He can't handle the gun right, so the shot goes in and nails the wall.
And then he says to Stan, "You want to earn $1?"
Oh, Stanley, you want to earn $1? Kill your grandpa.
Like, what? Oh my god.
And he tells Stan that he killed his grandpa when he was a kid.
Right.
So his grandpa's like, "What's the world coming to? You won't even kill your own grandpa." And all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
In the meantime, Kyle and Ike are also watching Terrence and Philip. His mom comes in. So we get to meet Sheila Broflovsky.
Oh, yeah, this is actually the meat of Sheila, isn't it? We didn't get to meet her in any of the other ones. Okay.
Nope, this is the debut. So Kyle's mom debuts. She's offended by the language. Because it's not only fart jokes, but they're also calling each other, like, asshole and stuff like that.
Yes.
So there's
I don't even think she really
more...
cared as much about the fart jokes, but then once they started swearing, then she's just like, "Oh, what?" And she's very Jewish mother.
What?
She's very Jewish mother, so it's like...
Yeah. Well, she's from New Jersey, as we learn.
Oh, yeah, it's like a very New Jersey Jewish mother. So
Yeah.
it's like all of that. Oh, yeah.
She... Yeah. It's a Jay-Z thing. She calls all the other boys' moms and says not to let them watch the show.
Right.
Including Cartman's mom, who Cartman says...
That's a bunch of crap. Kyle's mom is a dirty Jew.
Oh, okay, hon.
Cartman's gonna say that, not Shelf Life Kevin, for sure.
I mean, we all know that we're not the ones saying this at all. 100% we are not the ones saying this. It's just, Cartman always is very derogatory towards Kyle and his family.
I feel like it doesn't matter what it was, whatever Kyle was different, Cartman was going to make fun of.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. No matter what. Kyle is beneath him.
Stan's grandpa is trying to work to get Stan to kill him, including putting it on his to-do list. He clearly wrote to kill Grandpa.
Just writes it at the bottom of his to-do list.
In class the next day, Kyle is getting bullied because everyone's parents got called by Sheila to be told this. So they're all mad because now they can't watch Terrence and Philip because their parents said they can't watch Terrence and Philip.
Right.
Which also has to be commentary on how all of this works, right? Because did all of the parents turn on Terrence and Philip to see what it was? Or are they all just taking Sheila's word for it?
I feel like most of them probably are just taking Sheila's word for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably some of them probably did watch it and go, "Oh yeah, this is kind of garbage. Let's not let our kid watch it."
I mean, it is garbage, but I think it's got to be like a little bit of commentary too on where it's like, oh, like somebody said this, so I'm just not gonna.
Right.
I'm not gonna actually look
I
and
think
see if
it
that's
is, definitely. And I think it's also, it might be like oh great, well if we let ours watch it and then like the other ones aren't watching it and there's this whole dynamic with the kids now. So they might be thinking about those things, or are we bad parents because we're letting them watch it, and all the other parents at the PTA meeting are like not, and now we're the bad parents, like we can't.
How
do
social
that.
media works and all of that stuff.
Right. All like the social constructs of like those types of connections and everything, I think is what you're saying. And it makes sense to me.
Yeah. Well, like how, like, oh, that, Sally doesn't have an iPhone, so now she's going to get bullied for not having the iPhone. Yeah. And kids and folks at home, you don't need to have the shit. Just ignore it. Like, who gives a flying fuck?
Yeah, like, you don't need the designer crap. Like, if they're going to bully you about the designer crap, then just ignore them. They go away.
Yeah, you really don't want to... You really should not care if... I mean, when you get as old as me, you get to learn, like, you don't really give a fuck.
Yeah, you don't care anymore.
Especially if,
Seriously.
like, I still see it on, like,
Adults still act like children sometimes.
yeah,
but
like you just ignore them and you go, okay, this
Screw
person
'em.
sucks, yeah,
right,
and you move on.
right.
I get it. It's harder in as younger
You're
people because
learning
like,
this, and it
and you're
sucks at
stuck in an
first.
environment with those same people. Like you can just be like, hey, fuck this guy, and like not have to care.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It can be difficult, but just know it changes and also doesn't. But you can change.
As this is happening, Kenny walks in, and Matt said that this was in part something that he would try to do with his friends in high school. They would bet each other $20 if they would hand the teacher, they would wait outside the classroom or they wouldn't go into the room until late. And if the teacher asked why they were late, they would just hand them a piece of paper saying, I have explosive diarrhea.
That's
Because they
real
wanted
weird, but interesting.
They wanted to see what the teacher's reaction would be.
Oh,
I
okay.
think is the idea. Because like, what's the teacher gonna do? Like if
I'd
you're
be
like,
well, some teachers are jerks. Some teachers could be total jerks about it. You know, I could see being kind of understanding, like, well, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think their thought would be like the teacher would be like, oh, okay, like they'd be embarrassed for you.
Yeah,
so
that
they'd just
secondhand
let it
embarrassment
slide.
of reading
Yeah.
that and be like, oh.
Yeah, and they wouldn't want to embarrass you, so they would just kind of
sure.
let it go.
Yeah.
But he said nobody ever took him up on it.
So we had to make
they
Kenny do
found
it,
out.
and it's actually true for Kenny. Poor Kenny.
Kenny has explosive diarrhea, and there's a bathroom within the classroom that never
Yes.
comes back, just for this specific joke, because they're clearly wanting, as Mr. Garrison is talking about, how they shouldn't watch Terrence and Phillip because it's toilet humor, it's bad for them, it doesn't expand their minds, and all this stuff.
And
As
there's
he's
poopy fart jokes. Yes,
yeah,
at the same
as
time.
he's saying this, Kenny is defecating in the bathroom, so there's the poop sounds.
Now, as I was saying, the reason the parents of South Park are so upset is because, yes, Kenny, what is it? I thought you just came from the bathroom. Okay, go ahead. As I was saying, you all seem to enjoy this show, even though it isn't based in reality. There's much more to life than two young men farting on each other. And throughout history, there have always been shows that have come and gone that have been very bad, and usually they get taken right off the air. You see, you should be spending your time enlightening your mind with more intelligent entertainment.
In part playing on toilet humor of South Park,
Yes.
and in part playing what's coming out of Mr. Garrison's mouth is just a bunch of shit.
Yes.
Like they would literally do a few seasons from now.
They do literally do. Yeah.
Stan asks if it's okay to kill someone if they want you to.
Yes.
And Kyle thinks it's a right to die. He's like, yeah, man, like if somebody wants to die, like what do we care? Like just go ahead and do it. Like if that's what somebody wants, that's like Kyle's stance on it.
Right.
But Mr. Garrison is like, oh, I'm not touching that with a 20-foot pole. Like
Right.
he doesn't want to get into the
Because
idea
there's
of assisted
so
suicide.
much to that. There's a lot of
It's a very
commentary.
complicated topic.
Yeah, it's a very complicated topic. So of course, like they're like, no, I don't want it. I'm not doing that one.
So because he couldn't get the answer from Mr. Garrison, Stan decides to ask Chef. So he asks Chef if it's okay to kill his grandpa, and Chef at first misunderstands and is like, well, my grandpa's already dead.
So you
And
can't.
he's like, no. No, like, kill my grandpa. And Chef is like, no, it's illegal.
Right.
So again, he
it's
doesn't understand
bad.
it. And he says, no, what about, like, assisted suicide? And Chef goes, children, I'm not going to touch that with a 40-foot pole. So he doesn't want to have anything
so now
to
it's
do
from
with it
20
either.
to 40.
And Stan and company are like, why won't anybody talk about this?
Right.
It is a topic that does need to be talked about.
Yeah,
And
it
discussed.
does. It's an interesting topic that needs to be discussed. I mean, a kid this age that's a really difficult question to answer.
But in particular, in the idea of like someone that does have like a terminal illness or is in like chronic pain or something
Right.
like that. If there's like nothing they can do, and folks at home, if you're in that, we're hoping that Shelf Life, makes you feel a little better.
Right. If you're
Having
not
your
feeling
having
well,
your-
or you're dealing with something really awful, and you just need a moment, hopefully we can help you get out of it for a minute.
Yeah, we've got hours and hours and hours of us talking and hopefully entertaining you. So
There's like even a book that I read a long time ago. Oh, I guess it was so many years ago at this point, and they even made a movie about it. You know, like Me Before You actually discusses the topic of assisted suicide and things like that. And I think there actually are places in like different countries that do assisted suicide. So it's like it's really difficult.
Like, machines. I think there are like machines that'll do it or something like that. Yeah, I think there's like limits and things, and I mean it's a complicated topic to try to figure out. Like, at what point is it okay?
Where's the line?
Yeah.
Like, what's technically unethical? What would you count as unethical? And then it's like this whole conversation. So it's really difficult.
And that's why nobody will touch it. That's why they can't get anybody to discuss it with them.
Yeah.
Kyle's mom is with the PTA and shows a clip of Terrence and Phillip. And
the way the clip goes out, and then she just turns it off, made me laugh.
What happens? Because I don't remember.
Oh, I think it was literally there was just a silence, and then she turns it off.
Okay.
And
like they just stop and don't do anything.
Yeah,
for a second.
I think it was like, what happens? Fart, and then silence, and then she turns the TV off, and it was just like hilarious to me. And it was also hilarious to Stan's dad, who's laughing in the back about he farted on him.
Yeah, Randy laughs at the fart joke. It's a good little glimpse of what Randy Marsh will become, because he just laughs at the fart joke and literally says, he farted.
Right.
And
I think he is that parent that also went, oh, well, if Sheila's not letting them watch it, I guess we can't either, or
I guess
we're the
we
bad
can't.
Parents. I think that's legit, that, like, Stan's parents,
Yeah.
Because otherwise they don't care.
Yeah, I do feel like Stan's parents are a lot more lenient of, like, they're not like Cartman's mom, where, like, he runs the household, but I think they're more like, what's the harm?
Yeah,
like,
it's not gonna,
what's the harm?
They're not gonna, like, get anything bad out of this.
Yeah.
It's nothing different than the real world, right?
And the real world is rated at least R, so you better have your kids
mature.
prepared for it. Yeah.
Kids aren't even allowed in the real world. What are you talking about?
She wants to boycott the entire network because of this. Because the network didn't care about, them saying, giving letters and shit like that.
Right.
There's more poop jokes because now Mr. Garrison has the diarrhea that Kenny had.
Yes.
So he's pooping.
So he makes a poop joke, and then they all giggle and snicker.
And they all laugh at it.
Yes. Commentary, interesting.
Yeah, because they're hypocrites. They're letting themselves have fun with the fart and poop jokes, but they won't let the kids have fun with fart and poop jokes. It's commentary that will never go away because there's always going to be a group of people, because they are, I think, afraid to have conversations with their kids, or they don't know how to have their kids not do something until they're more mature.
Easily offended by everything.
Or easily offended. But I'm saying, like, it's even more,
like,
hypocritical.
Or you talk about, like, the ones who actually, like, watch it, but then they're like, well, but my kids can't do it. Or my kids can't watch this. They can't do this.
Or hide behind their kids to not let something exist.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Because they're like, think of the think of the children. Yeah, this is just think of the children.
Yeah,
it's just bullshit. As Michael Jordan didn't actually say once, but they put that meme in front of his face. I think, fuck them kids. Fuck them.
Oh my god,
that's the mentality that should be. Anyway.
Well, it's like with all the book banning that's happening, and it's always think of the children. It's like, well, actually, think of the children. They should be reading these.
Yeah, think of the children. They should. First of all, they should be reading them.
Because it's actually going to help them, and maybe you should read it.
Yeah, and also, fuck them.
Fuck them.
Stan's grandpa tries to bait Cartman into killing him, since Stan won't. Because they all came over to watch Terrence and Phillip at Stan's house because he said his parents were going to be late. Mm-hmm. So they could all just kind of get away with it there.
Right.
And Stan's grandpa is telling Cartman how he had sex with his mom or had his way with his mom. And
to piss him off and get him to kill him.
And naturally, Cartman, being Cartman, is taking the bait. And he's like, I'll kill you! And stuff. But they are able to calm Cartman down by giving him some snacky cakes.
Yes, I love that. It's so cute. Oh, snacky cakes.
Yeah, snacky cakes. It's pretty sweet.
It's adorable.
Cartman, yes. Very, very predictable. Just give him some snacky cakes and he'll shut up. They now decide to call Jesus to get an answer, because Jesus and Palace is on before Terrence and Phillip. So they're like, oh, maybe Jesus has an answer for us on this.
Right.
So Jesus takes their call, and they ask, and he pauses, and he says, I'm not touching that with a 60-foot pole.
And now it has grown.
So even Jesus is like, I'm not going to touch that
tough one.
I did. That would be a good little bit in the Bible if Jesus was just sighs and goes, "That's a tough one,"
Right?
Because in the Bible he always has an answer. He was just like, "Oh,
that's
Jesus."
a tough one. Yeah, he
What is with
says, "Oh Jesus."
all of the fucking questions.
Do
Give
I
me
have to
a
answer
easy
everything?
one. Can't you people think for yourselves for once?
Free will
Jesus
is a thing,
Christ.
people. Oh Christ.
I kind of would like that.
Yeah.
Just like, think of yourselves for once. So they turn on Terrence and Phillip, and they begin to watch it. Cartman is saying that Kyle's mom is a bitch.
Of course.
Excuse my language.
Stupid
For... Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Apologies to all the regular just bitch out there. Stupid bitch. This is the first time that we get Kyle's mom is bitch
Yeah,
from
he starts
Cartman.
singing it a little bit, like humming it, and like showing his butt.
He's getting it ready. He's getting it ready.
He's tweaking it. You know, he's got
he's
workshop into
workshopping
something. Yeah.
We'll get it. The next week on Shelf Life, you'll probably hear that. Grandpa hands Stan a piece of rope and asks him to hold it, and Stan is not paying it much attention, and he's like, okay,
because they're watching a show. Yeah,
so he's like, okay, I'll hold on to it, like, that's fine, Grandpa. So they're watching Terrence and Phillip, and you get some Terrence and Phillip jokes. Shelly walks in, and she's like, what are you doing? I don't think she calls them turds in this one
what
either.
are you doing, Cash? Yeah.
Oh, yes, exactly.
What
Thank
are
you.
doing?
You can do that way better than me. You're just
And you
have
just
to
have
play
to like
Shelley.
suck in your cheeks a little bit when you do it.
I can't do it. I don't know if it's because I have the beard or not or what. But
I don't know,
can't get the
maybe.
cheeks.
And
So she
Stan
asked what
thinks, like, since
Oh,
like
yeah,
she
Stan-
comes in going, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, and thinks that it's because they're watching Terrence and Phillip. But she's like, "No, what are you doing to Grandpa?"
Right.
And I don't know how.
This
oh
is
no,
horrifying.
I guess I kind of get how, but I don't get how. Grandpa is trying to get choked to death or hang himself
Right.
via Stan.
Yeah. They kind of
So-
have a rafter for like no reason.
For no
And
reason.
So he must have like hung it over it and like lifted himself up and like dropped down. I don't know.
I don't know
It's
how he
kind
lifted
of like
himself up, though.
horrifying to see because it's a man trying to hang himself.
Very unsettling.
Very unsettling. But he says to tug harder because it's not working.
Tug harder, Stanley. I'm almost there. Which could be interpreted.
Oh,
in
that
many
could be
ways.
interpreted two different ways. So many ways.
And instead, Stan drops the rope right away, and Grandpa, of course, lives. And he's like, damn it, Stanley!
Right.
So Shelley is like, I'm going to tell on you for this. And of course, because of that, the news runs with it. And
The news runs with it. Like,
so the news talks about it, and then they bring him onto this talk show, all four of them.
yes.
And they're like, what drove you to, like, try to kill your grandpa? And Stan is trying to explain the situation, and they're like, no, we were just watching Terrence and Phillip, and because they lead with
Oh,
that...
yeah. That's it. Oh, you were watching Terrence and Phillip, and so that's what did it.
So, in the 90s, there were incidents.
In the 90s. Yeah.
you have to remember this is 1997.
No, I know.
So back in the 90s, you have to remember there were incidents where Beavis and Butthead and The Simpsons were obviously like accused. I'm sure this goes way back. Like I'm sure Tom and Jerry was accused of like cartoon violence, was making kids hit each other and stuff like that.
Right.
So I think that this was kind of one of those things where it's like another, like of course, like the kid goes. Remember you and I watched that documentary about comic books where it was like the child psychologist asked all of like these juveniles in like juvenile detention what they read, and they were like comics, and so his conclusion, because he didn't have a control group,
yes, the conclusion
was that comic books were bad because all of these juveniles read comic books, even though all the kids were reading comic books.
Yeah, like everybody was reading comic books. And it's the same thing with video games too. It's like the video game violence
video
causes
games,
violence.
same thing.
And it's...
Exactly.
Right.
So they, of course, run with it though and are like, oh, well, obviously it must be Terrence and Phillip that are doing this. So because of that, it enables Mrs. Broflovsky to use it as a reason to protest all the way to New York, where the network is.
Right.
So we go to New York
Interesting that the network for Terrence and Phillip is in New York
when they're Canadian.
when they're Canadian.
Well, yes. I agree.
I just thought about that.
Well, I mean,
Is it currently Canadian? Do we know? I guess they are Canadians. Maybe they're just
Canadians.
working with the American.
Yes.
Okay, all right, I got you. That's
Yes.
fine. That's
I think
fine.
I think that's more plausible.
Yeah.
You know,
and then
you've
they
got
kind
a
of get
lot
their
of-
own network in Canada, and then they just move out. Like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. I think that
All
makes
right.
more sense. I think that makes more sense.
Yeah, I can go with that.
Because even if it was a Canadian production in Canada and it was selling the rights to the show to be shown in America, you would still protest the broadcast network
The
in
original
America.
broadcast. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I
'cause
guess
they're-
you're right. The American
They're the
one
ones
would have to.
showing it.
Right.
Yeah,
That's true. Okay.
yeah.
That's
Because
also
who
makes
cares?
sense.
Who cares what Canadians see?
Yeah.
No
right.
one cares. Canadians can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Who
That's right.
cares?
Yeah.
No one cares about them. About them.
A boot.
No one cares about Canadians.
Hey, if it's in Canada, I just want to do the reference where it's a great day for Canada. It's a great day for the rest of the world.
Yeah, that is true. If Canada is having a great day, then the world is having a great day.
That's right. That's right. So we should care, but I
suppose
digress.
That's true. That's true. Hey, buddy. They protest in front of Cartoon Central. And now all the parents are getting the stomach flu because Mr. Garrison gave it to them at
the PTA
meeting.
Yeah.
So now they're all having it. And now they're all shitting in the
porta potties? Yeah.
Yeah, in front of Cartoon Central. And back at South Park, there are no parents around, so the kids are just running wild because the parents, instead of paying attention to the kids, are more interested in protesting. So now they're just going crazy.
Right.
Grandpa realizes that the reason Stan won't kill him is because he doesn't know what it's like to be old. So he's like, come on, I want to show you something.
Yes.
So his grandpa locks him in a room and plays a fake version of Enya for him with the lights off. And it drives Stan nuts.
Yes, he just wants to leave. He doesn't want it to do it anymore. It was oddly soothing, but also boring. Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, it's oddly soothing and boring. And he's like,
Yeah.
"Yep, that's what it's like to be old." Which for our older listeners out there, I'm sure by the time Shelf Life will be on forever, so we'll be old podcasters at some point.
Right.
But for our old listeners out there, is that true? Is it oddly boring and soothing? I feel like it's got to be.
I
As a
could see
mid-30s
it.
man, it's oddly boring and soothing. So
Yeah, I think that's just an adult life, right? Oddly
Yeah.
boring and soothing.
yeah. You
Yeah.
So if you're old though, it's like, yeah, I made it, so it's
So
soothing.
I'm here. Right, yeah.
But it's also kind of boring. So Stan says he understands now and he'll do it. His grandpa is getting his wish. His
That's
grandson
right.
is like, I understand. I'll do it.
So they come up with this crazy scheme, though. It's just odd.
In the meantime, the president of the network comes up. Well, I guess we can say what the boys are playing.
Oh no,
to
we can do.
first.
We can go to the meantime. I like the meantime, and then we can go back to it. I'm leaving him on a little cliff, and then we can come back. It's fine.
The president of the network comes out and says exactly what everyone should say every time somebody complains about something and tries to censor it.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is John Warsog. I've prepared a statement for you on behalf of the network. You. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. If there are any questions, you may direct them to that brick wall over there.
I loved that part. Yeah, address it to the brick wall over there.
Which goes for everything. Like, it goes for any censorship of Shelf Life, all the way down to any books, all the way down to anything. The answer is fuck you, and any questions can be addressed to that brick wall over there.
Right.
So, because of this, the parents decide that they're going to have to take drastic action, and they're going to catapult or slingshot themselves into the
this.
building.
This? Where did they come up with this plan?
Just
A
so
cartoon?
absurd.
Because, come on. That's what it feels like. Here's a Wile E. Coyote cartoon. Slingshot me into the building quick. Like, what is this?
It's so ridiculously stupid. It's so absurd, and they're just, like, flinging themselves into it.
Yes.
Killing themselves, essentially.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
committing suicide. Just
yeah.
to get their point across.
Yeah, speaking of.
Yeah, so it comes back in a weird way. I don't know what that means, or if it means anything, but it does come back.
Right.
So, the boys' plan.
Yes. So speaking of more assisted suicides here.
They are planning to drop a cow on top of Grandpa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would that work? I guess that would work. If
Well,
the
yeah,
cow
cows
fell
are
on you.
incredibly heavy.
Yeah.
So
They're
I would
literally
assume...
cows.
Yes. So
Yeah,
I would assume
I
it
think
probably
that would
would
work.
crush him, kill him, hurt him at least. Like,
Yeah. I think so.
The poor cow is gonna get hurt though too. It's kind of mean.
Bar Brady drives by.
Well, the whole
and he-
reason, but you missed. Like the whole reason for
Okay.
them doing this is they want it to look like an accident.
Yes. they're-
Explain that one to me, because how is a cow dropping down on a person from
Clearly-
tree height? An
Clearly,
accident?
the cow climbed into the tree and jumped out
Oh, that makes
and
sense.
fell on Grandpa.
Yes. South Park logic. That actually would pan out, I think. Yeah.
Clearly, Officer Bar Brady drives by.
Oh, it's like a cat in the tree. Like cow was in
Looks-
the tree, and then that
looks
was.
at them for a second and says "carry on" and
That's
drives
also
off.
very true. Yes.
So I don't think it would take much to confuse the local law enforcement or the South Park County coroner or anything like that
Right.
that this happened. Before they can cut the rope, Death shows up.
Yes.
And it
the
is
actual
Death.
Grim
It is the
Reaper.
Grim Reaper. Yes. He walks up toward Grandpa, and Grandpa's like, "Finally, you cocksucker," or whatever he calls him. But he's like, "I'm waiting."
Lazy ass. Like he's got a lot of different things coming out of his mouth this entire time.
Absolutely. And he moves
But then he walks past
Grandpa.
him. Yeah, he walks past him.
He heads toward the boys. Clearly after Kenny.
Oh, we all know it's Kenny.
like
we
he
all know
like
it's Kenny.
points down towards Kenny, and it's like, yeah, clearly he's after Kenny.
Yes.
Death chases them down, and the boys lock themselves in Stan's room.
Mm-hmm.
We learn that Toon Central has now lost 20% of their sponsors because of this protest that the parents are doing.
Yes.
And Stan tries to call his mom. I don't know how he knows where to call his mom. I guess they gave a number for the protest.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I don't think you'd have a cell phone at
Well,
this
they
point.
have like
but
the old giant cell phone. Maybe it's
is
like
that
maybe
what
it's,
is that what?
maybe it's Kyle's mom's. Like she's got the old brick cell phone, right, from
It's
the
possible.
90s. And
I mean, I'm just assuming that they left a number for them to call if
oh
something
yeah, it
happened.
could be. Yeah, maybe they just have like an emergency thing.
So Stan calls his mom, and his mom's reply is to leave her alone as they're doing something important. So there's your message. Maybe spend more time in your kids' lives and not
listen to
have
them, you know?
something else entertain them. So we get Stan and Kyle and even Kenny, and I don't know what Kenny said because I couldn't. Sometimes you can decipher what he's saying, and sometimes you can't. But this time I could not figure out what he was saying. But the message is that you shouldn't just let the TV or entertainment or anything just be the babysitter. You
Yeah,
should
don't
actually
make
be
it the
involved in your
easy
kids'
way.
lives. You should understand what they're watching or what they're doing and what's going
And
on
maybe
with
like
them.
listen to them when they are talking to you.
Yeah. So, lesson for us all. Or just plop them in front of the TV. They'll be fine.
Right. Yeah, you can learn a lot of lessons from these shows. We've grew up on them. It's fine.
Yeah. Arthur and South Park and Recess and all the rest of them taught me everything anyway.
That's
so
right.
whatever. Death breaks in. And they have to go out the window. Little funny moment where Cartman can't make it, so Kenny has to help him.
It's kind
I
of
like
fun.
that little moment.
Yeah.
And he chases them on a tricycle for some
Yes,
reason.
I don't know. It's wonderful. I guess he probably saw their tricycle and decided to get on it to make him go faster.
Oh, I like that explanation.
Yeah, like it was in the yard.
Trey just says he always thought it was funny to draw the Grim Reaper riding a tricycle because it's just a funny image.
I mean, it is a funny image. I'll give you that.
But I like the idea that, like, yeah, he had to grab something that was in the yard and a tricycle was around. Grandpa's following them because he's still mad at Death.
Like, come here, not to them. Like, yeah.
As he's chasing after them, the Grim Reaper gets distracted by Terrence and Phillip. It's in the front of, like, a shop with, like, a bunch of TVs.
That is
and it's
such, like,
on.
a thing that's always happens in, like, shows and stuff. And I feel like I've never seen a TV shop where, like, there's just TVs playing
agree.
stuff in
Yeah,
the window.
to, like, window shop out the window?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if I've...
It's such a
think,
trope
like-
that like happens in shows and movies and
Yeah.
even like video games where you're just like walking by a shop and you hear like the news tech guy saying something. You're like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah.
And then I have
Yeah,
to watch
'cause-
this.
You might walk by, like, a radio station and they're playing the radio.
Oh yeah, maybe.
But-
yeah.
Or it's one of those, like, broadcasts where, like, the window is the street.
Right.
and they're like broadcasting out, but it's going to be whatever they're talking about.
Yeah.
And maybe if you have a monitor in a window, it's probably advertising something that's in the store. It's not just like this TV shop, like you're saying. Like
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
That's not a thing. I don't think.
I mean, I haven't seen one. I mean, I've seen where like the TVs and like the stores have stuff going on so you can see what they look like. But just like a shop window, like walking down the street of like a town or something. Here's the TV store, and they're just showing stuff. Like, it just feels so weird.
Folks at home, let us know if this is a thing, and Rachel and I are just in our bubble and we haven't seen this.
That's right. I'm in my own little bubble.
I want to know if this is true, because we're gonna encounter this, like you said, dozens of times because it's a total trope. It's a total trope.
It's a way to get news to a person that's like not paying attention.
Yeah. Now you might not have it as much as in modern media because you would just get an alert on your phone or something.
Right, and they'd like look at the phone. Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't need to do the TV shop, but it definitely was a trope, to your point, to speed along the what's happening in the plot elsewhere.
I mean, even when they like are looting and stuff, and it's like, the TV shop, and then they break the window and they take the TV out without even walking into the store.
Yeah. Which, of course,
so many moments.
The boys start watching Terrence and Philip with Death, and they're all laughing at it. So Death enjoys the fart humor as well with the boys. The network, though, ends up relinquishing to the parents because of all the poop in front of the building.
Oh,
so
yeah,
they're just
the diarrhea
sick of...
and the poo.
Yeah,
and,
it's not the catapulting into the...
Yeah, they could have cared less about that.
It's all of the smell and stench and grossness of the diarrhea. And they're like, fine, just get all of your shit, literally, and get out.
Yes. Yeah, because they show it. They, like, literally are showing the pile. Like that's
there's
gross.
Piles of poo. It's one big pile of shit. So they turn off Terrence and Philip.
Yeah.
And I love the little moment where the guy on the TV goes, we interrupt this program to bring you loud static.
Yes.
It just does the
and
static.
It just goes to loud static. It's great.
Death gets mad at this. And he just turns around and touches Kenny and kills him. Because that's what he was there for anyway.
Right. Which, question, is Kenny just dying of the flu? Like, he's just so sick and then he just dies? Like, is that why Death is there?
I mean, Death just has it out for Kenny. I guess you could
that's
say that.
true.
I think it's just Death is just always after Kenny.
Yeah.
So, Death killed Kenny. You bastard. Grandpa is mad, and Death shows Grandpa, because Death is like, Grandpa's like, I've been waiting for you for like 25 years. Like, what is the deal? Like, why won't you take me?
Right.
And he's like, I killed my grandpa. I don't understand why, like, I have to do this. So Death shows him, and to your point, Rachel, the Grim Reaper the entire time is going like
he just like mumbles.
I guess, well, because like Kenny, he's got the hood up, so you can't really hear him.
Yeah, I guess that's fine. He doesn't have lips. He doesn't have a tongue, so he can't really like make words, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. So Death shows Grandpa, his grandpa. So
Right.
this would be Stan's great-great-grandpa.
Right. Who's naked and looks like ghostly.
He's all withered and like
Yeah.
droopy.
Yeah, very droopy, yeah.
And that grandpa says he shouldn't have asked him to kill him because it was wrong to put that burden on
Others. Yeah.
Which is interesting. It's an interesting take to have, where it's like, even if you want to, like, you have to, figure out a way to do it without putting the burden on someone that is going to have that have to live with that.
Right.
And
like
of course
he
they
did.
also, like he did. And of course they also throw on there that he is stuck in limbo. So
Yes.
he wasn't allowed into heaven or hell because of that.
Right. And he's like, natural causes, like that's the way you should go.
Yes, you have to go via natural causes.
Yeah. Again, that's still a heavy topic,
Still a heavy topic.
So I don't want to touch that with an 80-foot pole, so.
So the boys decide to go home, and the parents are happy to see that they got Terrence and Philip off the air. So the parents are like, we did it, we got it. In its place is a show called She's the Sheriff. I don't know what this was a parody of.
I don't
but
know.
It's something with Suzanne Summers, I think. And they, again, have some naughty language.
Of course.
So Sheila's like, it's time to protest again. And she picks up her Save Our Children sign, and they walk off.
Right.
So the boys are like, well, what are we going to do now to entertain ourselves? And they're like, maybe we'll huff gas or smoke crack or
do crack.
watch some porn.
Yeah.
of course, jokingly being like, if, the kids don't have anything to do, they'll probably just start...
Find worse things to do.
Yeah, sniffing glue or whatever.
Sniffing glue.
And Grandpa has decided he's going to take a trip to Africa, which works out twofold. His life won't be boring. He's going to actually do some stuff. And you know how many lions eat humans every year? So maybe it'll happen. It's a natural cause.
He found two different things, twofold.
Yeah, it's a good little message to, keep yourself entertained, because one day you never know what could happen. And,
right. Live life to the fullest and hopefully die of natural causes.
And the boys end it by saying, "That's my grandpa," and start, chuckling with each other. And that is the end of Death. Rachel, what did you think of Death? And did you learn anything today?
Well, like I said, like I was saying right at the end there, live life to its fullest and hopefully I'll die of natural causes. Or being eaten by a lion. Well,
it's very natural to be eaten by a lion.
Yeah, that's extremely natural. This one, it had its moments that were kind of funny for me, or it's actually speaking to something that's a bigger issue or true issue in the world that was happening against certain shows in media and all of that type of stuff. And then, of course, they wanted to try their hand at this big topic that nobody wants to touch with any type of poll. So, I don't know. This one, to me, had a few more moments in it, that were, fine. Otherwise, it was kind of gross, too, with the poo.
The poo?
Yeah, the poo was gross.
Well, clearly, the poo had a part.
It had a purpose. It had a purpose, yeah.
all the diarrhea caused the network to have to turn off the show, which caused Death to kill Kenny, which caused Death to show
the
Grandpa.
butterfly effect.
Yeah.
The poo effect.
The poo effect. That's really what it should be called. If someone poops in Asia, then a tidal wave happens. That's how we should
that causes a...
Yeah. That's really what it should be.
Oh my gosh. Well, what did you think, though?
Okay, so I remember really not liking this episode very much, nearly as much as the other ones. In or watching it again, I think it's actually one of the clever episodes of season 1, which is probably why as a kid I didn't like it very much, because it's more satirical.
I think it was also speaking more to adults in this one.
Yes, and it is speaking more to adults. A kid isn't going to get as much out of it, and it doesn't have as much jokes, other than the poop jokes.
True, that's true.
I like the poop jokes, though. I think the poop jokes are funny, the way that they handle them. I know Rachel doesn't like them, but
I only liked the parts where they would do a poop joke and they were being hypocrites about it and snickering. That I enjoyed just because it was a hypocritical, clever, goofy thing. And I liked that Stan's dad laughed at it. Because he laughed at it, then I laughed. It's kind of one of those things. Oh, great, now I'm laughing because they're laughing. Right.
I did learn how many lions eat humans every year.
Oh, yeah,
I can't remember the number, but I did.
Yeah. It's interesting.
So,
and the Death also likes fart jokes.
And Death also likes fart jokes. And I'm glad that he does. I think it makes sense for the Grim Reaper to like poop and fart and toilet humor. Cause it's kind of down his wheelhouse.
He needs entertainment too.
Yeah, we all need a little entertainment. So that is Death, the 6th episode of South Park. The 7th episode of South Park wouldn't come along for another month.
Ooh.
Because they made a deal with Comedy Central because they were like, we need months to be able to do this, and Comedy Central was like, no, the show's hot, we need new episodes. So they decided they would make a Halloween special. And after a break from our I almost said after a break from our short sponsor, after a break from a word from our fake sponsor, we will talk about Pinkeye.
This is a new sauce from the makers of Liam Perrins. It's an elegant suffusion of sun-ripened tomatoes and the quintessential Worcestershire sauce that...
That makes good food great. Tomato and Worcester table sauce, new from Liam Perrins.
There's a connection there.
Damn it.
And we're back. Ooh. With a spooky episode of South Park.
Yep, it is. It's a spooky one.
I was waiting for Rachel to do something spooky.
Oh, I'm so... I don't
Oh, how
brains.
Yeah, there you go. Yes, brains. This is the 7th episode of South Park entitled Pinkeye, directed by Trey and Matt, written by Trey, Matt, and Philip Stark. It aired on October 29th, 1997. Rachel?
Yes.
What happens in Pinkeye?
So, the main premise, there's a death of Kenny. There is a accident with Worcestershire sauce. And there's an outbreak of pinkeye.
Worcestershire.
Worcestershire.
Worcestershire with wasabi and wiener schnitzel.
That's right.
Yes, an outbreak of zombies.
It's actually more of a zombie than pinkeye, but they call it pinkeye.
Yes. That's misdiagnosed as pinkeye. So what happened between death and this episode? The original 6 episodes that Comedy Central determined to pick up ended with death. But because of the show's popularity, they said that they would give them an additional 7, making it for a total of the 13 episodes that are in season 1. But Trey and Matt were like, we need some more time to be able to actually complete these. They weren't in their 1-week cycle yet, and I think even if they were, they'd be like, we do not have any ideas.
Sure.
So they made a compromise with Comedy Central where they said, like, well, we still need time to be able to do some of these episodes, but what if we did holiday specials? So give us a month and we'll do a Halloween episode, we'll do a Thanksgiving special, and we'll do a Christmas special. So this is the Halloween special, Pinkeye. And I believe that we are entering a pretty good stretch of South Park episodes. To me, this feels like very much like The Simpsons.
A bit stronger.
Almost in like number too. Like they're starting to get it. Cartman feels very Cartman in this episode.
Yeah, they kind of are like actually filling out the characters as they should be.
Exactly. Chef is like that. He's got a very protagonist like leading role in the episode.
He does, yeah.
Even Kyle and Stan's personalities are coming through more. The insanity of the town gets
the
set
town
aflame.
mentality. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems to, it's starting to feel lived in. Like they're starting to put it together.
Yeah.
In this one, in my opinion, and over the next few are very solid for me. The whole idea of this one, of course, is just that Trey and Matt really like Halloween. They even say they used to when they were first starting, like on their commentary, they're like, we started throwing big Halloween parties for the crew and friends and stuff.
Oh, that's fun.
So they wanted to do something that felt like a fun Halloween episode. And that celebrated how Halloween is fun for kids and adults.
Of course,
so
yes.
That's what this is supposed to be. I assume, unless you're listening to this when the episode first drops, that, well, actually, even if you are listening to this when this episode first drops, this should be one of your annual spooky Halloween traditions.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
You have it on the list of different episodes of different shows that are Halloween-y. You have all of the different movies and all of those different things, and this is one of the fun ones to watch.
So you can watch it around Halloween, and then you can listen to us around Halloween talk about it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly
I mean,
right.
I'll say the same thing probably for our spoiler alert, or stay tuned, I don't know, for our Halloween special coming up. I have, and I need to like list them out actually, where I listen to the new podcasts of like my favorite podcasts and stuff. But I go back and I listen to, because I do, go for walks and bike ride and drive to work and all that stuff.
Right.
I'm always listening to podcasts.
Oh,
and at work, I'm always listening to podcasts. That's the whole point of our show and why we have the length that we do. So I will have, and Rachel knows this because I made her do it when we did a vacation last year. We drove. I have Halloween episodes of podcasts. They start in September and they run all the way through October. So
sometimes they're like the better episodes for them
sometimes
too,
they're really
and they're
good.
really good.
Yeah, hopefully, Pinkeye makes your list.
That's right.
Of podcast episodes, and it becomes an annual tradition. This could be one of the many. Okay, so let's get right into it. This is Pinkeye, fun episode of South Park, or is it? Does it have shelf life? I guess that's the question.
That's the question.
So, an alternative opening for the credits, instead of it just being the regular going down to South Park, there's like spooky noises in the background, and everybody has like a Halloween motif.
Oh
so
yeah, they all have
the
a
guy
costume.
with the guitar, he's like a skeleton. Yeah, they all have costumes.
Yep.
I thought that was different.
I think
that's
fun. You got a fun opening for specials.
Yeah, exactly. Specials should have a little fun opening. So the episode starts in space with the Mir space station, which was the Rush. Is it still around? Mir hasn't come out of orbit, right?
I don't think it has. I don't know, actually. I don't know a lot of space stuff.
I didn't want to say that and then not know if Mir is still up there or not. Oh no, it did come out of orbit. It came out of orbit slightly after this episode aired in
2001? Okay.
I didn't realize that it came out of orbit that long ago, but okay. So, folks at home, and for you youngins, the Mir, and not even youngins, for those of you in college, the Mir space station was the equivalent of the U.S.'s space station. It was the Russian one, the cosmonaut one. Apparently, it came out of orbit in 2001. So
yeah, that's when it ended its mission.
Not too far from this episode airing,
weird.
only a few years.
Do you think there was like a zombie apocalypse in
It's very possible.
In a little area where it came down?
Nothing about this episode is logical, so
no.
I should not be like, so Rachel, did the space station collapsing have anything to do with the zombie apocalypse? But I'm going to say it anyway. So what happens is, it tells you it's October 30th. One of the cosmonauts scares the other because it's Halloween, and then an alarm goes off. They're not doing real Russian, clearly.
No,
and then
they're not. I don't think they do any real languages for a while. Maybe.
No, I don't think that. Yeah, I think sometimes they do real Spanish and maybe Japanese if they know it.
Yeah, maybe.
But I don't know if they do much.
But most of the time, it's just like making noises with their mouths to mimic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The boys are waiting at the bus stop, and the space station falls on Kenny and kills him.
Yep.
So
you
we don't
bastards.
get. Yes, you bastards. While they're standing there, an ambulance arrives to get him to the morgue.
Yep.
But they leave the space station behind.
Yeah, they
and
just
they
kind of ignore
leave it there.
It's just ignored, and then the kids go on on with their day.
Yeah. Well, the boys are talking about their costumes, and they say they have to go home to get ready, so they leave.
Right.
So, Rachel, did the Mir space station falling have anything to do with what ends up happening? Was it a mixture of the space debris
It's
on
a good
Kenny?
question. It's a good question. Because, like, when they were looking at something, we didn't get to see the console, did we? Like, what did it say? Like, was it just that,
No, we
it's
had no
just gonna
idea. I
crash
think
out
the
of
alarm just
sky?
went off. Yeah, we don't know. We don't know why.
So maybe
it just
they
went
did
off.
have some alien thing get into the ship. We don't know.
That's true.
You know, it could have
It's
dropped
possible.
down, infected Kenny because it touched him.
Now,
and
the
then-
Worcestershire lady at the end, kind of knew what was going on, so you'd have to imagine the answer to that is no.
I would
it
think
just
the answer
happened
is
to
no.
be.
It's just a way to
It just
kill
was-
Kenny.
It was just a fun way to kill Kenny. And a good way to do it because of the fact that Kenny's death is the catalyst for this episode.
That's right.
So they're even using Kenny's death as part of the plot at this point.
Yes.
So we find out that the boys are coming up with their Halloween costumes.
Yes.
They're going to go home. They're going to get ready. And there's a Halloween contest at school that they all want to win because you can win 2 tons of candy. That's what the prize is.
Yep.
Now my guess is, because it's South Park, it is literally 2 tons of candy.
Oh yeah,
But my guess
probably.
is if it was being advertised in the real world, it would be like a couple of bags of candy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They'd have like the little disclaimer at the bottom that says like,
It's like 2 of the buckets of candy, maybe.
Sure.
But it's not 2 literal tons.
Be kind of interesting if it was though. Then
Well,
my question is what kind of candy? That's gonna
We
matter,
never. That's true too. Yes, and I guess they missed out on a potential gag here to show that it was a. But the problem is the boys need to be mad about not winning, because if they showed the pile of candy and it could have either been literally 2 tons of candy, and then they would all been upset that they missed out,
right?
Or it could have been 2 tons of candy, but it was all the same kind, and one of them did win it, and it was all lemon drops or something terrible that they didn't want. You know what I mean? Okay, so at the morgue. You have the coroner and the assistant, and they're embalming Kenny.
Right.
And as they're doing it, and they're talking about how death is so hard on, the young or whatever. The assistant...
Yes. Trying to be kind of yes, it's worse for the young.
These are... The coroner has such a weird design.
Yes.
I can't tell if they're going for a skullet on the corner or what is going on there. He's got like a mane of hair.
Yeah, it's like it's the hair that, bald on the top, but it does like the clown ring around, but it's also long. It's
and
weird. It's kind of weird.
It's almost like he's designed to look better as a zombie.
Oh, maybe.
Than he is here.
Maybe that's what it is.
It's such an odd look.
I do also like that they have a couple, like, aliens in the background here, too.
Oh, are there?
Yeah, so there's, like, an alien in a jar. I think they also have a couple, like, brains in a jar and stuff,
Oh, I did not notice this.
Yeah.
So the coroner's doing some weird stuff. I mean, it's a spooky episode, that you gotta have spooky stuff in each scene. So the assistant is eating a hot dog, and he puts Worcestershire sauce on it. The coroner is like, do you have to use that all, like, on everything? And the assistant says, it just makes everything taste so British.
Yeah. British.
So, I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming for our friends in the UK, our UK listeners, they put Worcestershire sauce on everything. I assume.
Potentially. Is that the brown sauce?
I assume.
Is that what they call brown sauce?
In the UK?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, here we just call it Worcestershire. I'm curious, though, to know, for folks at home, do you use Worcestershire sauce on stuff? Because I think that I clearly meant Trey used it because it's weird and British, and
it's hard to say.
It's hard to say. It has a very distinct flavor, but I think what people use it for is like almost like a steak sauce or like a shrimp sauce.
That's what we use it here as.
Like in America, where God pays attention.
Right, you kind of like add it as like a part of like the meat. We also use it in like that Chex Mix stuff that we have.
Mix.
Yeah. Give it a little salty flavor.
I'm curious if people use this, like for the American listeners, like what else do you use it for? But around the globe, do you use Worcestershire on anything? Because it is a British sauce, like seasoning. It's like steak sauce in the US or fucking ketchup or something like that,
Right.
And we just put Worcestershire sauce on all of our stuff because we like that salty British taste. You Yanks put ketchup on it, we put Worcestershire.
Isn't the joke that English people don't have like any flavoring on their stuff? So then
correct, their food tastes like garbage. That's not a joke. That's just a fact.
Oh no. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. So maybe this is their way of flavoring it. They're just like Worcestershire sauce on everything.
Yeah, I mean yes, like how we put salt on everything.
I don't do that. I can't do that. Sometimes like a thing is already salty just because of the way it is. Why are you adding extra salt? Why? It's too much. Salt takes over the flavor then.
I'm a big proponent of salt, so I slightly disagree.
Well, I mean, on fries, sure.
Salt has shelf life.
Okay.
Everywhere.
I'm just thinking extra salt. It's too much.
So they leave the sauce behind, because they leave the room because they're like, just let him drain, because they're draining Kenny's blood and replacing with the embalming fluid.
Right.
So they're like, well, we'll leave him, let him drain. But for some reason, he leaves the Worcestershire sauce behind, and it tips over into the embalming fluid, which, of course, as we all know,
yes,
because it's happened several times. I won't say it happened several times, but it has happened. If you get Worcestershire sauce and embalming fluid, it turns the person into a zombie.
Yeah, you gotta be really careful.
Yeah, you have to be very careful. Folks at home, if you are a coroner and you're listening to this episode of Shelf Life, first of all, thank you for your service. And
honestly, yes.
And secondly, of course, make sure that you aren't eating something with Worcestershire sauce on it near the bodies.
Yeah, you gotta be careful about these things.
You could start a zombie outbreak.
Keep it in a different room. Just keep it in a different room.
Yeah, go into the break room with your Worcestershire sauce.
That's right.
Make sure you wash your hands before you go back in.
Oh, that's up to them. That's their choice.
Well, not if it's gonna cause a zombie apocalypse.
Oh, I thought you meant like from the embalming to the Worcestershire sauce.
Oh no,
not
the
the
other way. I don't care if you get entrails and slime on your fucking hot dog or whatever you're eating. Also, a hot dog while you're embalming a body, is that an inappropriate food to be eating?
Why would that be an inappropriate food? What's a non-inappropriate food then?
Pretzels.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, actually, that'd be fun.
In the real world, you probably shouldn't be eating anything. But
probably not.
any meat
in general
in front of a dead body feels
just kind
incorrect.
of rude. Just like ignorant. Like, how dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you
my
eat
opinion.
meat in front of a meat slab currently on your slab?
Exactly. Yes. So Kenny turns into a zombie. He wakes up and he's like, ah, as a zombie. And then he breaks out.
Yes.
So he busts through the door because he's got zombie strength now.
Right.
And he bites the coroner and the assistant before taking off. And they don't seem too concerned about this.
And you'd think that it would be like something that they'd be like, oh my god, the little boy woke up and is alive again?
Well, they're bad at their jobs.
Obviously.
That's clear.
They just
We're
call
in
him a
South
little
Park.
turd and they don't even care.
Yeah, they call him a little turd. I guess they're like, I don't know, I guess he wasn't really dead. Or something. So the next day, Stan shows up to the bus stop as Raggedy Andy.
Yes.
Because him and Wendy are planning to do a couple's costume to try to win the costume contest. Kyle is in a Chewbacca costume. So he is going as the mighty Chewbacca.
It's not even a full Chewbacca costume. It's just a mask.
It's just a mask.
And I'm pretty sure that is this around the same time that there was that like craze with the stupid Chewbacca costume mask that like the mouth would open and go. Is that
no
like
way.
at the
That's
same
gotta be-
time? It couldn't have been. This had to have been like a while before that.
Way before that, I think. I mean, this is just.
It's just what it reminds me of because like literally
Star Wars nerds.
everyone had those masks when those came out. So it reminds me of that when that happened. I don't even know how many years ago that was.
I'm not even sure exactly what you're talking about.
You don't know what I'm talking about?
Oh, hang on. I'm looking it up on Spirited Halloween right now. So like after this episode, Rachel and I have to go to a costume party ourselves.
That's
so
right.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm taking a look at it here. Okay. Anyway.
See if you need to get that mask or what do you want to wear? Yeah.
Yeah. So Kyle is dressed as Chewbacca, and Cartman comes.
Oh my God, Cartman.
Rachel, what's Cartman dressed as?
A German dictator known as Hitler.
Yeah. I don't know if you get flagged for saying Hitler on a podcast.
I don't know.
Anymore.
Should I just call him German dictator?
So they chastise Cartman for wearing the Hitler costume.
As you should. Honestly.
It's not okay, folks. Okay, I don't know. I don't want to start anything here. But in reality, if someone is wearing a Hitler costume, you're just asking to get your ass kicked.
Yes, I would think
really
so.
are.
I would think so. Like, no, if it's from like that one, that little rabbit movie.
No, it's not even that. No.
I'd still think you would
no-
be. You're getting your ass kicked no matter
You're
what.
getting your ass kicked.
Don't
you
do
deserve
it. Don't try to be
You
like
absolutely
I'm
deserve to get
Hitler
your
and
ass kicked.
I'm being like I'm
Or like,
making fun
I'm
of
being
him.
edgy. I'm an edgelord. Jerk off. Like, no, you're an asshole. You're gonna get your ass kicked. Like, nobody's impressed with how fucking edgy you are.
No.
You're just a dipshit.
Right.
So it makes perfect sense for Cartman to do this. Because
Exactly.
he represents dipshits
That's right.
around the world.
Yes, he does.
So as they're standing there, they're chastising Cartman, and they're making fun of Stan. So they're going back and forth. They're doing their boy things, and then Kenny shows up because I think as a zombie, it's like one of those zombies where he does they go to the mall. They
They know their typical
would do.
routine. Yes.
Yeah.
It's like that muscle memory type of deal happening.
Yeah.
But he's just
But
completely
he's a
brain
zombie.
dead. Yeah.
And he's rotting.
Oh yeah.
And they make fun of him for showing up without a costume and for
Even
being
though he
poor.
looks like he's in a costume because he looks like a zombie. So you'd think, oh, you dressed up as a zombie. They didn't even make like that kind of a joke. It was just like, there's no zombie. Like, there's no
The
costume.
boys don't figure it out until the very end of the episode.
Right.
So they're making fun of him for being poor, for not having a costume. But he's not reacting. And they're almost like getting upset that he's not reacting. They're
Right.
like, come on, Kenny, we're making fun of you. Like, you're
Like,
supposed to be
there's
playing
supposed to be like a
along."
back and forth. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah. Which I like that because, like, as kids, you're like, no, we're supposed to be making fun of each other. Like,
Right.
come on, like, you're supposed to say something back.
Yeah.
You know,
like,
it's
like
almost
make
you're,
fun
like,
of me
ruining
now.
the
What are you
game.
doing?
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's very, true to life.
it kind of is. Yeah.
Like the rest of this episode.
Oh yeah.
So
very
the
plausible.
coroner and the assistant go to the doctor, and he diagnoses them with Pinkeye because they have no blood pressure and their temperature is really low.
Right.
And they have some puffy stickiness and redness in their eye around
Right.
their eye.
Yeah, that's
clearly they have pink eye.
Right. All of those are definitely the
Telltale signs.
Exactly, the telltale
Folks
signs
at home,
of, pink eye.
if you have no blood pressure or your body temperature is very, very low, you might have pink eye.
That's
you
right.
really should go get some ointment.
Yeah.
Because you
gotta get
shouldn't be
an
spreading
ointment.
it. Yeah,
Lots
you
of
don't want to be
ointment.
spreading it. And they also want to eat brains. So he prescribes some ointment for them.
Mm-hmm.
In the classroom, we go to the class, and everyone is dressed as Chewbacca.
That's right.
Including Mr. Hat.
Yes.
It's a very, very popular costume that year, was to dress as Chewbacca.
It is kind of cute to see all of them, like, sitting at their desks as Chewbacca, though.
It's pretty funny, because they're all just sitting there as Chewbacca.
It's like a little Chewbacca classroom.
I also like that none of them are upset about it except for Kyle.
Right.
Kyle's like the only one that's mad that everyone else is Chewbacca.
I mean, honestly, they should have just been the Chewbacca family at this point, and then group contest.
Lumpy.
Yeah, that's right. Lumpy and all of the
I don't
rest.
remember the rest of them. Lowbacca. Garrison is
Mama
dressed as
Chewbacca. I don't know what any of their names are.
I don't remember her name. Somebody's gonna put a comment below of what the fucking family's name is.
Because we know that somebody has a favorite. Is that Christmas special? We all know.
Yeah, we got it. Garrison is dressed as Marilyn Monroe.
Of course.
Which I thought was appropriate as well.
Yes.
And then Stan realizes and confronts Wendy, because Wendy is also dressed as Chewbacca.
Right?
She's not dressed as Raggedy Ann.
What a bitch.
I'm glad you said it. So Stan confronts Wendy about this, and she says she realized how stupid they would look. So she just changed her costume.
Instead of telling him. Like, that's so
and assumed
mean.
that Stan would come up with the same idea.
Wendy,
Hi, Stan.
you said we were going to be Raggedy Ann and Andy, remember?
Yeah?
We were going to enter the costume contest as a pair.
I know, but then I guess I just realized how stupid we would look.
You what?
I thought you would reach the same conclusion, so I came as Chewbacca.
Hey, Stan, you look almost pretty enough to kiss.
Yeah, you want to be my girlfriend?
Why did she do this to Stan?
I don't know.
Is this just like kids being not thinking about other people and not like thinking about it?
Maybe, because I feel like she's also toying with him a lot too. Because she like toys with them at the end of the show, episode, and like.
Yeah, she does.
She does that like in the middle of the episode when she like wants to go trick or treating and stuff. We'll get to those.
She doesn't think it's a big deal at all, and it's
and then
it's
I
a
feel
very
like
mean thing.
Yes, I don't know. I feel like I think it is one of those kid things where either she wasn't thinking about him at all.
Yeah.
When changing her ideas, or is trying to mess with him and is just a very manipulative person. It's one of those.
I don't think that's true about Wendy.
I don't know. She might be.
But she's like the Lisa Simpson of this world.
I don't even know if I would count her as a Lisa Simpson of this world.
Really? She's like their
I know she's supposed to be like the smart female character. That's what you're trying to say. But sometimes she does these like annoying like things.
She still has 9-year-old tendencies, but she's supposed to be like the smartest citizen of South Park.
I suppose.
Kind of. She's the most liberal one of the show.
I guess that's
she's like the most
true.
like environmentalist.
Well,
like,
I don't ever know if she's actually being I do this for this stuff, or I'm doing this so I look good because look, I'm so much better than you. She always seems like I'm so much better than you. Look at me, like doing this for the environment. Oh my god, like that's how she always comes across to me instead of being like the actual like I'm trying to take care of the environment type of person.
That's interesting. Yeah,
but that's how she comes off to me.
Okay.
So maybe that's why I'm seeing her as like oh my god, of course she would do this because she's just that kind of a person.
We'll have to see. I'm probably putting a lot of like into it of like thinking about the different stories and like some of my favorites with Wendy, like the episode where she beats the crap out of Cartman, which is like one of my favorite episodes.
Of course.
So I probably like in mixing stuff, but you may not be wrong. We'll have to kind of see, especially with the way that Trey and Matt's opinions about why people do certain things. So that's interesting.
Now I'm kind of curious because like that's how she's always been for me. So maybe I see it wrong.
I don't know. Folks at home, let us know. Like, what are your opinions on Wendy and what she did to Stan here?
Yes.
Has this ever happened to you?
Oh my god.
Like, I want to know that.
Have you done a couple's costume or like a partner costume and the other person just like screws you over.
Didn't do it. Yeah.
Like, were you the
That's
back end
had
of a
to have
horse,
happened.
and they just come as, I don't know,
Chewbacca.
Chewbacca?
Like that. This has to be an occurrence, right? This has to be a
It
more
has
common
to be.
occurrence than I think it would be.
It's
of
gotta
somebody
be.
just being a total prick and not showing up as the other half of your couple's costume.
Yeah, I want to know. Tell us about it. Tell us about your costumes this year, too. I'd love to know.
Yeah, what are your costumes? I don't know costumes. So the I can't remember what the context is. I just wrote Wookiees don't live on Endor because that's one of the lines that I've always taken back from this episode. But Cartman is making fun of... Oh, Cartman is saying that his costume looks better now because everybody dressed up as Chewbacca, and Kyle's trying to explain to him that it's still not nice to dress up as Hitler.
Yeah, it's not badass. It's not cool. There's nothing, like, fun about that.
And Cartman says something about, like, well, you're just a Wookiee from Endor. And Kyle says, well, Wookiees don't live on Endor. And Cartman goes, beep, 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 beep. And, like, that's always stuck with me. I don't know why. I always remember Wookiees don't live on Endor. And Cartman saying it, like, to make fun of him. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see that being a thing, though. Maybe he even did it on purpose. Like, he knows that they don't live on Endor, and he did that just to make him say it, so he can be like, like...
I doubt it, because I feel like Cartman is just ignorant to everything.
Probably.
But yes. So Kyle makes fun of Cartman's mom for being on the cover of Crack Horror magazine.
That's right.
This is even like when you find out a lot more about the promiscuity of Eric's mom.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just feels like they're figuring out the lived-in world that they have here with it.
I feel like they were playing, and they were like, oh, well, we'll keep this. Oh, well, we'll keep this. We'll pull this. We'll, like, make this a bit more, like, of something.
Yeah.
Give it some sustenance.
They've got something here, yeah. Kenny's arm falls off.
That's normal.
And Mr. Garrison is like, Kenny, keep your hands and arms to yourself. Cartman's mom is decorating the house with a very spooky, I was terrified, a poster of Nixon on the front door.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
It's pretty
scare
scary.
everybody off.
Yeah, scare me. And the coroner has fully turned at this point. They're full-on zombies at this point now. They're just going down the streets, wanting brains. They're green.
Right. I do like that Cartman's mom, like, kind of looks at them like, oh, yes, nice costumes. Like, there it is.
Yeah. Like, she's just kind of oblivious because she's just, like, decorating the house and thinking that, like, it's all fun and stuff like that.
Well, I always wondered, like, if the zombie apocalypse does happen on Halloween, would people be ignorant of it and think that they're just people in, costumes and cosplaying and...
There's got to be a crappy zombie movie about that, right? Where it starts...
Like, the only...
on Halloween.
I feel like the only way... See, there's, like, two things. A lot of the times in zombie movies, they don't have it where zombies don't exist in the world, so they don't really know about them or, like, any lore behind it and all of that. So a lot of the times it just happens and, like, they're all very, like, confused by it. So would it be in a world where zombies do exist and, like, the person goes, oh, man, I love your zombie costume, and then they just kind of walk away and then the person eats somebody? Like, that's what I would expect.
Well, if you want to write that screenplay, Rachel, we can certainly do that. Day, night? No, that would be... I mean, it could be Halloween of the Dead, but I was trying to do, like, Day of the Dead, but what's Dios de
Dead
los
on
Muertos?
Halloween?
But what's that, how do you say that in English? Like,
Day of
it's
the
Day
Dead?
of the Dead, right,
Yeah.
So Day of the Dead of the Dead? I like that. So it's the Day of the Dead celebration, but then a zombie outbreak happens of it, and we call it Day of the Dead
Day
of
of
the
the Dead. No, I like yours better.
Okay. Folks at home, let us know which one we'll write that screenplay. Dios de los Muertos. De los Muertos. We kind of did a Lisa Simpson there. That was kind of a Jeremy Irons.
Just a little bit.
So I do have to stop you here, Rachel, though, because I find that I'm fascinated by this thought. So you're saying in the real world, in our universe,
in our universe, like where we live in, okay,
yes, the one that we live in currently,
yes. Okay,
not in the alternate universe that we will one day or have.
Sure,
the Twilight Zone, if you will. If a zombie apocalypse, an outbreak happened on Halloween, would you be able to tell? I think not right away, potentially.
Yeah.
It would depend on how it begins. Does it begin with rotting corpses, freshly dead?
That's a good question.
You know, that thing as
right.
well.
Patient zero type of thing.
I would think that the second that someone bites another person or attempts to eat them...
No, because I think it would end up being like, oh, rabies type of thing. They would just say it was rabies. Look.
Like that episode of... like the episode of Community, where like that is the...
Pretty
the
much.
way to get around it.
They've done this before, like the bats in Africa, and then they call it like rabies again. Like there's like a lot of different things.
I feel like if and this goes for anything, if I see like a creepy clown on Halloween, like somebody, I don't know if it's ever happened.
I avoid everybody on Halloween, but
I feel like somebody will get shot one day because they're gonna be like stalking down the street like a zombie, or like Mike Myers or whatever, and someone's gonna just be like, nope. Fuck it. I don't know if it's real or not. I'm just gonna... And then before the person goes, no! They're gonna get shot, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I guess it depends. But again, we'll write that screenplay and see if we can figure it out.
Or like, what if it was like at a haunted house? Like one of those houses where they can chase you and like grab you and stuff, and then like the zombie out. Oh man!
Better,
and like the one guy who's like supposed to be a zombie actually
like
has like the sickness, and then
Dia de los Muertos is coming along quite swimmingly. So we have one group that's at the haunted house.
That's right.
One's at a costume party. One guy's just watching TV.
Yes.
That's the chef character. He's like watching a thing by himself. Yeah, I like this.
And there's like some breaking news about like some sickness that's happening, you know.
So go to our Patreon and our Kickstarter so that we can get this. Anyway, okay, that was a good segment. Where the hell are we? All right, so
she sees them. She sees the zombies, and they start eating people.
Yeah.
So she likes their costumes. She's singing the most wonderful time of the year, and the zombies just start eating people.
Cartman takes advantage of Kenny at the lunch table by taking his pudding, because Kenny's not doing anything.
Right.
He feels like, I can just take his pudding.
I mean, yeah, he pretty much is like, well, if you're not going to say no, I'm just going to ask this question and then take it.
Oh, yes, Cartman, you can't take my pudding. So, folks at home, it's clearly a bad allergy day when we're recording this. So, Chef comes by, dressed as Evel Knievel. He asks Cartman what the hell's he doing. He's like, he told me I could have the pudding, not realizing that he's talking about being dressed as Hitler.
Yeah.
There's an innocence to Cartman in this because he truly does not understand why it's a problem because he's an idiot.
Right. And maybe he saw him and he like saw like, oh, he's got a lot of power and he's like an interesting character from like history, and then
as time goes on, Cartman is just a terrible racist anti-Semite.
Yeah.
but at this point they're playing it more like he doesn't get
He's just stupid. Yeah, but like why did his mom sew the costume for him?
His
like
mom's a moron too, and
his mom is
everything that he wants.
Okay, you're right.
So she doesn't think about it. She just does whatever he wants.
Very true.
Principal Victoria debuts here. This is the first scene from Principal Victoria. Is the principal for the South Park Elementary School for a couple of decades before she's ousted by the PC principal. She says that Chef has a nice Elvis costume. And I love the back and forth here between them, because Chef says, why the hell would I be dressed up like Elvis? And she goes, well, why the hell would you be dressed up as Evel Knievel?
Right, like...
like, yeah, well,
like, big deal. Why would you,
like... Knievel?
Why did you get offended by Elvis? Like...
What in the hell are you doing dressed up like that?
Eating Kenny's pudding?
Hello there, children. Oh, love the Elvis costume, Chef.
Elvis? I'm Evel Knievel. Why the hell would I dress up like Elvis?
Oh, why the hell would you dress up like Evel Knievel? Anyway, I hope that you kids are... Eric, God bless it. What do you think you're doing?
Hey, he said I could have his pudding. Ask him yourself. That's right, Principal Victoria. It's okay with me because egg is key.
I just love the little quick back and forth. And then Principal Victoria is like yelling at Cartman too, so she drags him away to show him
to teach him
why to give him a teachable moment, and he squeals like a pig. Basically, he's like me about it.
He does squeal like a pig when he yells.
It's like a pig. Yeah.
Huh.
Kenny bites Clyde.
Yes.
And Kyle and Stan are like, oh good, Kenny's back to normal.
Yeah, I guess because he's eating, but like he's eating your friend. Like that's not a good thing. How is that normal?
I took it more as like it's impossible to tell if because Kenny is Kenny, so like
that's true.
It's just a normal thing for him to be doing that.
Yeah.
So Principal Victoria makes Cartman watch a movie about Hitler, which of course Cartman loves.
Yeah, he
and
thought it
pictures
was so
himself
interesting.
as Hitler. And after it's over, Cartman wants to watch it again. Yeah, he's doing the Sieg Heil. He's saying Sieg Heil and all that stuff. He's a little fat turd.
He is such a turd. He is such a turd.
He's
for wanting to
absolutely
be
a
the
turd.
dictator turd. Like, come on, do we have to? I do love that there's the Smokey the bear, or I guess it's Puffy the bear.
Oh, is he called Puffy the bear?
It says it on his hat. It says Puffy the bear. Well, it says
I like
Puffy,
that,
right?
Oh, okay.
And it looks like the forest fire Smokey the bear, right?
Yeah.
And he says dressing like Hitler isn't cool.
Dressing like Hitler in school isn't cool. Yeah.
Like, why?
I like that,
why Puffy
I
the
like
bear?
that he's branched out to be a spokesperson for not dressing up like a Nazi. Yeah.
Interesting. I see what you're saying. Like, he actually is like, oh, I'm going to go into other videos and like
he's
help with
helping
other
in
things.
other ways. Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
that's nice.
So Principal Victoria is like, you have to take off the costume, and Cartman's like, but I have to win the candy. So she tells him, well, we'll just make a new costume for you then. And she's like, well, let's see what we can do here. Because she's got a big, thick Minnesota accent.
Oh, yeah, she's got a big, thick Minnesotan accent. So she's like, oh, what do I have around the office? And then she finds a sheet.
And makes him into a ghost.
A ghost. But it doesn't look like a ghost.
Well,
I mean, it looks like a ghost.
It's a scary ghost costume.
Except for the hat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely
top of
scary. It is definitely a scary costume.
The top of it comes to a point.
Yeah.
So in the commentary, Matt and Trey were like, they think the KKK is so it looks like a Ku Klux Klan outfit.
Yeah, if you didn't understand what you're going for.
He went from one terrible thing to another. And in the commentary, Matt and Trey talked about how they thought that the KKK is just super funny because they're like, it's like, how fucking stupid is it? Where it's like, we're gonna dress up as ghosts and scare black people. Like, it's just the stupidest thing.
It is kind of a silly idea. Yeah, it is very silly.
They were like, yeah, if you do it right, fart jokes and the KKK is very funny. Like, it's just
right.
Like, they just think it's hilarious.
Yeah,
because it's like, how fucking stupid are you people? The infection has continued to spread. The kids are in the costume contest now, which is being judged by Sally Struthers.
Mm-hmm.
Sally Struthers was in some sitcom in the 80s. I cannot remember which one.
I
but she's like I
think they say in this.
Is it Family Ties?
Yeah, I think it's Family Ties.
Wait, no, it's not Sally Struthers. Sally Struthers is in Starvin' Marvin. It's Tina Yothers.
Oh my god, they have such like the same name. What the
yeah,
flip?
it like rhymes.
Okay.
It makes me think that they picked both of those because they sounded similar.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Tina Yothers was in Family Ties. Is that right? I'm trying to see now.
I think so. I thought that's what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's Family Ties. I never watched Family Ties. I might have like seen episodes, but I never like was like watching it, you know. So I don't even know like who she really is.
Don't think but I mean, it's just a sitcom from the 80s, and it's something that they like to do is just pick out a random celebrity. So they're like, yep, she's judging this Halloween costume contest at this elementary school in South Park. Chef is scared of Cartman's ghost costume. Isaac Hayes does a great little like scared yell here because he realizes it's a
yes.
And Cartman's like, man, my costume must be great. It's scared the crap out of Chef.
Oh my god. I'm such a scary ghost. Such a scary ghost.
Yeah, so scary, you guys. Kyle has made a costume of the entire solar system, complete with
It's honestly
working...
really cute.
It's a pretty good costume, actually.
It's a cute costume.
So, folks at home, as we did we've talked about different Halloween costumes for you and your family during the holidays, or during the holidays.
Yeah.
That's Halloween's a holiday. The working model of the solar system would be a pretty sweet.
Yes.
That'd be pretty
You could
rad.
be the sun, and then it all, like, rotates around you. It's very cute.
Yeah. I mean, Chewbacca, of course. But yeah, the solar system one, pretty good.
I mean, I guess you could do, like, the Star Wars solar system, and then you could have a little Chewbacca, like, planet.
Dagobah and...
Yeah, little Chewbacca's on it.
Yeah.
You're saying all these words, and I'm just like, Tatooine?
Yeah, Yeah, you got it.
I got it.
Second place goes to Kenny for his Edward James Olmos costume. So Rachel,
I don't know
do you know who Edward
is.
James Olmos is? Yeah, look him up
No.
because you'll get why that was a joke once you see him.
Is it just because he's like old and kind of like pocky?
I think it's because he's like super pocky. Yeah.
Okay.
So he looks like he could be a zombie.
His skin is just really like divoted.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know how to
Terrible.
like explain it. It's just kind of like, bumpy, like
Yeah.
ridged.
I think that's a pretty good joke. They will make a even more of like a just flat out Edward James Olmos parody later on in the series.
Of course
which
they
we'll
will.
get to one day.
Of course they will.
First prize, however, goes to Wendy for her Chewbacca costume.
Which doesn't make any sense. It's so stupid.
Makes no sense because despite having the same costume as everybody else.
Right.
It's very odd. This is where Kyle says, "Up yours, Teeny Others."
Right.
Which the guys found out that Teeny Others, I guess, was in a band or something back in the day. And she would use that as like the opening clip.
Really?
She thought it was funny. Yeah.
Oh,
so
that's so fun.
She
Up
was
yours.
a good sport about it. Yeah.
I love that. It's so random. Be like, oh, they actually put me in their show. Really cool.
Yeah.
And then decides to keep it.
Yeah, she got it. Yeah.
Good for her.
And worst
What a
costume.
sport.
Yeah. And worst costume goes to Stan for his stupid little clown guy costume. And I love that he goes, "All right, children, let's all point and laugh at Stan."
Yeah, it's pretty great. It's pretty great. I like that that's like a tradition. I feel like they
Yes.
should have this
Yes.
all the time, everywhere. Like, okay, who has the worst costume? And then
Worst
point and laugh
costume
at them.
gets point and laughed at, yes.
Next
Yes.
Halloween party, this is what has to happen. You have the best
Yeah.
costume and you have the worst
Only
costume.
with adults, though, folks. Like, only with adults.
Yes.
Don't point and laugh
Not
at children.
who don't know what's happening. Okay.
Unless they're in on it. If they understand
if
it,
they
that's
understand
one
that they have the worst costume and that was their plan. Okay?
thing. Yes.
Don't be mean
But-
to children.
Yes. Please do not be mean
Unless
to
they're
children.
little
Unless they're...
turds.
I was about to say the same thing.
I'm
Unless
sorry.
They're a little fucking turd.
Like carpet.
I'm glad that we had the same thought process. Like, don't make fun of children. Well, you know what?
If they're little turds
There's a disclaimer. Yeah. Everybody knows a little turd child.
Oh
like
god,
that.
there's a lot of little turd children out there. Stupid little turd children.
Stan is mad at this, of
course
because
he's
getting made
mad.
fun of. And Wendy's like, no, don't worry about it, Stan. You'll feel better when we go trick-or-treating. And he's like, I don't want to go trick-or-treating with you. You screwed me over and made me
Right.
look stupid.
Right. Everybody's like making fun of me and it's stupid.
So then they go to Bob for apples, and Bebe gets to go first. So, just put the clip of Garrison saying this line.
Okay, children, let's all gather around and bob for stupid apples now. You go first, baby. That's good. Just use those mouth muscles like the girls in Beijing.
Braids.
Wait your turn, Clyde.
I don't even know what
I
that
don't know what it
means.
means.
I know what it means,
like,
but I
you know
don't know what it
but,
means.
Like, yes, we all know what it means.
Why
But
is
what
it
does
the
it
girls
mean?
in Beijing? Folks at home, why is it the girls in Beijing?
Why is it so specific? It's so specific.
So anyway, Kenny bites Bebe, and Mr. Garrison is like, wait your turn, Kenny.
Yep, that's it. No, it wasn't Kenny.
Oh, it's Clyde. You're right.
It's
I'm
Clyde.
sorry.
Yeah.
It's Clyde.
Because Kenny is patient zero in this, so he doesn't turn like full zombie.
Wandering around. He
Wander
only bites
zombie,
it when he feels
right?
like
Yeah.
it. Like, he doesn't bite the boys, because he's like, these are my friends, I'm not going to bite them, but I'm going to
Right.
bite, like, everybody else that we go trick-or-treating with.
But like
So-
when I get hungry, I'm gonna eat somebody else, and then he
Yeah.
kind of like is satiated for a little while. But it's like the other zombies seem to just be like zombies that are just like constantly
Total
craving.
zombies.
Yeah.
So a guy tries to bite Chef, and he tells him that he has pink eye, and he's like, "Get the hell away from me, Johnson! I don't want your damn pink eye." And he
I'm
gets to the
assuming like a
house.
neighbor, right? Like
Yeah, it's like one of his neighbors. And he starts watching TV. Again, why this episode just stands out to me as like quintessential first season, like this is South Park to me.
Yes.
Is there's a news report, and they're like pink eye, pink eye's running rampant throughout the city, and it's causing mayhem and destruction. And he's like,
Commie bastards, and screw their little wussy space station.
In other news, a pink-eye epidemic is now sweeping the town of South Park. Here with a live report is a midget wearing a bikini. Thanks, Tom. Already more than half the townspeople here in South Park have been infected with the pink-eye virus.
That is so
It's
South Park.
so South Park. It's just so random.
And that's exactly what the reporter is. It's a little person wearing a bikini.
It is. Like, yep, there it is.
Thanks, Tom. Here I am live in Main Street. Yes.
Yes.
So the town is being destroyed by zombies. They are calling it Pinkeye, and Chef's like, "There's no way that's Pinkeye. I know exactly what
He's
that is."
seen this before, is what
Yes!
he says. And I want the backstory. I want the backstory on how Chef has seen this before.
They could have done an entire spin-off series of Chef's adventures.
I would love that.
Isaac Hayes didn't
Wanna
become
leave.
a Scientologist and then die.
Yeah.
The boys have their little pumpkin buckets, which I thought was very cute.
Oh, I love that. It's adorable.
Are these still a thing? Because when we were little kids, the pumpkin buckets were a thing.
I think they're still the same. I think they have, like, the pumpkin buckets and all those types of
Yeah?
things. Yeah, we even
I
had the
hope
one
so.
that looked like a hand, and it had, like, the bag. And I think they still use those even, right? Or maybe I'm just, like...
I don't know. I mean,
a lot of kids
I
just
didn't
carry, like, a random, like, bag now, but...
Yeah, I didn't like the hand with the bag. I liked the pumpkin bucket.
Oh, no, the pumpkin bucket is cute, yeah.
The bucket was better, in my opinion.
Or
in
you
this
just have the
man's
random
opinion.
kids with pillowcases. You know, just grab your pillowcase.
Yeah. I don't get a lot of trick-or-treaters anymore, so I don't really know, just
Yeah.
because of where I'm at, but...
Sure. I think
I
it's
wonder if we
very
talk-
mixed.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it's still very mixed. So they make fun of Cartman's mom again. Kyle shows up. He's now dressed as Dracula.
Yeah, he changed it. This is his third
He
costume.
changed his outfit again. I don't know why he didn't just come as I guess because he didn't think it was good enough. He didn't win the costume
because he
contest.
didn't win, so now he's like, well, I have to be something else.
They are going down the checklist. I like that they said that they're bringing a taser for people that give them crappy treats.
I wonder if they were given the taser for, like, you know, weirdos
I
that,
bet-
like, attack
yeah.
them, but
In
that's what
case
they're
something
interpreting
happened,
it
and
as.
they're like, we're gonna, That's what I think, too. Like, I think Stan's mom was like, and take this just in case you need it. And instead of thinking, oh, just in case somebody attacks us or tries to kidnap me.
Right.
He's like, oh yeah, if somebody gives me like an apple, I'm gonna tase them for a
Right.
for
Like,
a
how dare
candy.
you? I don't want a
Yeah.
pencil. Like, what is this? Can't even eat this.
Kenny comes too, because he
Of course he does.
knew
this
he
was
had
his
to
plans.
come
These were his
trick-or-treating,
plans, yeah.
It was in his head. And then Wendy comes by, because Wendy was planning to go trick-or-treating with the guys. They're like mad at her, of course, and she's like, oh, I didn't keep any of that candy. I gave it to starving kids in Nairobi or something like
Right.
that. And she just wants to go trick-or-treating with them. Like, that's what
Yeah,
you
she
do.
doesn't even have her costume on anymore. She's just Wendy at this point.
Yeah. And Stan is like, I don't want you to come. You ruined the day for me.
Right.
And they walk away from her. And as they walk away, the zombies attack Wendy.
Yep. I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad that she got attacked. I mean, the sad part is that, I mean, the funny and ironic thing is that Stan did tell her, like, to drop dead or, like, I wish you were
that's
dead.
right.
And
Yes,
then
I'm
the
glad that you
zombies
remembered
attack
that.
her.
Yes.
But...
Yes. Very cinematic. Very narratively
That's
done.
right. That's
Yes.
right.
Very good. Chef goes to the doctor, telling him that it is not Pinkeye. And the doctor's like, well, maybe the pink eyes just made you delirious, Chef. That you think
Yeah, like,
that
he
there's,
expects him to
zombies."
have it. Yeah.
Yeah. And Chef's like, no. I'll demonstrate that this is that they're dead. So
and the doctor has a patient in the room.
there's a patient in the room. So Chef walks over and he just pulls this guy's arm off. And he's
Yes.
like, see? And the guy's like bleeding out. And
Yes.
the doctor's like, well, actually, that guy was just here for his annual checkup.
Yeah, he didn't have
And
pink
Chef's
eye.
like, oh, sorry. And he tries to put the arm back in.
Yes.
But the guy just bleeds out and dies on the floor instead.
But Chef's, like, on a mission at this point. I mean, honestly, with the zombie apocalypse, you can't worry about these things where you accidentally pull somebody's arm off. You gotta keep going.
Yeah, you gotta just keep going. If you're gonna kill a few alive people, but if the zombie apocalypse is there, you just gotta
gotta keep
You gotta
going.
do what you gotta do.
Keep trucking. You're fine.
That's Rachel's motto for the zombie apocalypse. Keep trucking.
So then we find out that the first people who came in with pink eye were the morgue people.
Chef must be trying to put together a theory here, or Chef is thinking we might have to go to the morgue to see if, like, we might be able to find something there.
Right. To figure out what's going on or how to stop it.
As they're doing this, the zombies attack the doctor's office, and Chef jumps out the window to escape, and the doctor's like, don't worry, make a line, I have enough topical cream for all of you.
Of course.
But they attack him anyway and take out the doctor. The boys are trick-or-treating.
Yes.
And Kenny bites an old lady who had Sweetie Pops.
Of course.
So took a Sweetie Pop away. This whole episode and just talking about them going trick-or-treating and stuff, first of all, I love the fact that they have an episode where the boys just go trick-or-treating and all of this ensues. It's making me so, like, sweet tooth for candy.
Oh my god. It's like, so hard not to, like, want some candy now every time.
Like, I really just want some candy. And Chef goes to the mayor, who is sleeping with Barbary.
Doing something with Barbary.
Having sex with Barbary.
Yeah.
They're doing some sort of sexual act.
Yes.
And there's a big pile of money on the table. And they ensure Chef that it has nothing to do with the Japanese mafia.
Right.
Not a thingy-dingy.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on there, but
yeah, that's a whole other story that...
Yeah, that's a whole other episode that they've never made.
That's right.
They dismiss Chef's crazy idea that there is zombies, and he says, oh, to hell with you both, and he just leaves. So he can't get help from the mayor or the police, so he's going to have to do it himself. That's what they're setting up with Chef here.
Exactly.
They go to another guy's house for trick-or-treating. He's got some sort of peanut butter yum-yums. I figured this was made up.
Well, it
sounded like one of those
sounds
made-up
kind
things.
of like it's, I mean, it's got to be like a Nutter Butter or something, right?
Oh, a Nutter Butter.
You know, where it's like...
I could go for a good Nutter Butter. I love Nutter Butters. Folks at home, if you want to send Nutter Butters to Shelf Life, you do that. Yeah, that might be what it was. But Kenny instead bites this guy too.
Of course.
And he starts like just nibbling on
he's
this
like
guy's
eating
head.
this one.
Yeah. I love the chewing noises, that crunching noises that they make with it.
Yeah.
And the boys have no reaction. They're just staring at him.
They're
annoyed,
like, actually.
Yeah. Because they're like, Kenny, like, every time that we're going to get the candy, you just eat the person. Like, we want to get the candy.
Right.
So they tell Kenny that he can't trick-or-treat with them anymore. And they move on without him.
Right.
They go to the KKK house. So I guess the Klan's having a meeting at somebody's house.
They're having a party. So
I
it's
guess
Halloween.
You think that they would dress up for...
Maybe it's a meeting and then the party?
Yeah, that's true.
So their costumes are on underneath their Klan costumes?
Which we do see in a future episode of South Park.
So there you go.
So
see?
there you go.
It's canon.
Yeah. But I mean, they are idiots. So maybe they just thought that they could get away with it.
Oh
I don't know.
maybe they just are dressed up. Yeah.
And the Klan, folks at home, remember, are cheap bastards because they only gave one Tootie Bar to Cartman, and they only gave one to Cartman.
That's it.
So
yeah,
they're like, yeah, these cheap bastards. Yeah.
Of course.
Because they think Cartman is not dressed as a spooky ghost. They think that he's dressed as one of them.
Right. So, of course, he's the only kid that's going to get one. They probably wouldn't have given any of them anything.
Yeah, that's a good call. I don't know. Well, I mean, Cartman's previous costume, they probably would have given him something, too.
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
But you're saying if a normal person came up
If a normal person, they would have just slammed the door in their face.
I don't know if they... Yeah, I don't even know
why did they answer it. Don't even answer your door.
They make it to Chef's, who answers the door with chainsaws.
As you should. It is a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, he is in Ash. He's in Ash versus the Evil Dead mode with these chainsaws.
I do love that he thinks that the zombies would, ring the doorbell though too.
Yes, that they would be ready and willing to ring the doorbell for sure. Chef tells Cartman he's gonna whoop his ass the next time he sees him for wearing that, but for
As
now,
he
like
should.
inside, yeah, like. We have bigger fish to fry, and then I'll whoop your ass later.
Right.
So Chef is packing weapons to go to the morgue, and he tells the boys, like, we'll go with, because we know that something's going to happen at the morgue. And the boys are frightened, and there's a little fart joke to break the tension.
Of course.
Like that. You gotta do a little fart joke to break the tension. I love even in that fart joke that they all, like, start laughing, and Cartman's like, it was Kyle, Like... It's something that's very observed of, like, little kids or...
Yeah, it was definitely a little
men in their
thing.
mid-30s that fart in front of each other.
Yes.
they're in the morgue and they're saying, Cartman's saying, focus on the candy. Remember the candy. Because they're like...
Right, because they're scared. Because now they're going to like, it's creepy and...
They're also like, we need to stop the zombie apocalypse because if everyone turns into zombies, they're not going to give us candy.
That's right.
So we need to stop this so that we can get back to
priorities. This is Halloween.
Kyle finds a copy of Crack Whore magazine.
Of course he does.
With Eric's mom on the cover.
As she was, as we know,
As we know, yeah. And Chef's like, you better give me that, Kyle.
Not to get away from him.
Yeah. And they find the Worcestershire sauce. So they find it, left there, and they're like, hey, this seems like odd to be in here. It says on the back of it, don't use with embalming fluid.
That's
so
right.
They really should have been paying attention to that a little bit more.
Maybe they need to make that like bigger, like brighter.
Yeah. Make that more of an alert for sure.
Yeah.
So as they find the sauce, the zombies break in. They start to try to get out, but the zombies are like surrounding them, and they're like, Chef, help. And then they realize that Chef has been turned into zombie Michael Jackson.
That's right.
He's wearing the...
All of a sudden, the second he was bit, he turned into Michael Jackson.
Yes.
With the Chef's hat.
Didn't take any gradual thing at all. He's Chef as Thriller Michael Jackson. Does the Thriller dance and everything. It's kind of fun. He does like a whole
sings.
routine.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. A Chef song, but he does it as Michael Jackson. The boys run out, or like a wall breaks down or something here, and they find a payphone in the graveyard.
Yeah.
Very odd spot for it.
Just a random payphone.
Yeah. And Kyle calls the hotline number, but while they're doing that, Stan and Cartman are like, we'll take care of the zombies. And they begin to use the chainsaw and just chainsaw down some zombies.
Right, chopping the heads off, doing all they need to.
I thought this was a lot of fun. Like, just watching the gore and just how gruesome it was to just watch them, like, chopping them all up with the chainsaws. I thought this would have been, like, a good video game level.
Yeah, I could see that being a video game level. Absolutely.
Zombie Chef, meanwhile, while all this is going on, is just looking at the Crack Whore magazine.
As his brain remembers, that's what he would be doing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah. Kyle is on hold while this is all happening, and Zombie Wendy comes up, and Stan is hesitant to kill her. Cartman's trying to convince him that he should, because she's a zombie now.
Right.
In the meantime... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just thinking, because I'm like, well, Cartman could have just killed her for him, but I feel like he's trying to make Stan do it.
That's true, yes. I think he wants Stan to do it as some sort of Cartman, it's Cartman, so
yeah, right.
It makes sense. Kyle finally gets through with the Worcestershire sauce place. Worcestershire, did I say that right?
I think you said Worcestershire.
Yeah. And the Worcestershire lady tells Kyle not to just go around decapitating zombies left and right.
Welcome to the Worcestershire Sauce Customer Service Hotline. For Worcestershire Sauce recipes, please press 1 followed by the pound sign. For Worcestershire Sauce product placement, please press 2. If Worcestershire Sauce has been used as embalming, please press...
Nobody screws up my trick-or-treat and gets away with it. Yeah, kids. Sweet.
Worcestershire Sauce Emergency Hotline. This call might be monitored to ensure you the highest quality service. How may I help you?
There's a bunch of zombies here.
Please hold.
Wendy? Finish her, dude. She's a zombie now. I know, but come on, Stan. Remember how she dissed you at the costume contest? Hey, yeah.
For the regular sauce, the first thing you need to do is make
sure that you do not just go out and start decapitating zombies left and right. Do you understand? Do not start decapitating
zombies left and right.
Okay. Then what?
So then when he finally gets through, they the specialty. This woman's specialty is to deal with the zombie outbreaks.
Exactly. And the first thing she says is well, first off, do not just start chopping heads off.
Yes. The solution here is that you have to kill the original zombie.
Right. It's kind of like a vampire lore
and then
here.
all the others will turn back to normal. In the commentary, Matt and Trey are like, that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
That's, stupid. But that, who cares?
No.
It doesn't have to make sense.
But you went with vampire lore. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
It's a Halloween episode, guys.
Yeah, it could be whatever.
It doesn't need to make sense. It doesn't.
Because they said that they didn't know how to end it, because they were like, we need everybody to turn back to normal, but they had no idea how to get it there, so.
Yeah.
And he asks the Worcestershire lady how to tell who the original zombie was. And she just starts going on a spiel about, like, we know that you have many choices in the Worcestershire sauce. So he just hangs up on her.
Right.
Kyle puts it together because he's like, wait, Kenny went to the morgue when that thing fell on him. So he saws Kenny in half with a chainsaw right down the middle. After he does that, all the people turn back to normal.
Even the dead ones with their heads
Even
down.
the dead ones. And that's the best thing, is like all the ones that they killed already, they turn back to normal, but they're just dead.
But they're
and, like,
just dead.
decapitated. That's
Body
so
parts
great.
everywhere. Not green anymore. It's great.
Yeah, it's so great. The kids are like, great, now we can go back to trick-or-treating. And there's just blood and bodies everywhere. Wendy apologizes to Stan, finally. And Stan's like, all right, we're cool, I get it. And then Wendy's like, maybe we can kiss now, Stan. And Stan, of course,
Just
vomits
gets
on
sick.
her.
Yep.
And in the closing scene of the show, the boys are lamenting Kenny's death at his grave. Cartman was very Cartman in this scene, especially, too, because he starts just bawling, crying about Kenny being dead.
Yes.
He's kind of faking it, because, like, he just immediately is, like, stops and is like, well, all right, let's move on. Stan is trying to say that he's learned what Halloween is all about. And he's like, it's about giving and this and that. and Kyle's like, no, that's what Christmas is all about. And Stan's like, well, what is Halloween all about? And Kyle's like, costumes and candy.
That's right.
And it's like, yeah, that is all Halloween is about. It's just supposed to be about costumes and candy.
I mean, typically, yeah. If you go back to
And
the actual like
movies.
lore of Halloween, like of course, there's actually like the Day of the Dead, like we were talking about before, and there's actually like stuff going along with it.
There is
but
actual stuff. Yeah.
The hallmark Halloween that we all know is scary movies, costumes, and candy,
and scary podcasts.
That's right.
Like ours. Yeah.
Ooh.
So they make fun of his mom one more time and how she took those pictures like a month ago. They weren't like from when she was young or anything. And they walk away. Kenny's hand pops out of the grave for one last scare, but before he can get out of the grave, the angel statue next to him falls on him, and then a plane hits
crashes.
him.
Yeah. I thought there was going to be more, but it was just
like
those two.
One more thing would have
one
probably
more
been
thing.
good, but yeah.
Right before like the credits ended. That would be great.
Yeah. But that is it cuts immediately to the credits, which I love that it's just a very, very immediate cut to the credits.
Yep.
And that is the end of Pinkeye. So Rachel, what did you think of the episode? What did you think of Pinkeye?
I think it's a fun Halloween episode. I like this one because it's zombies. I've always been like into like the zombie stuff, and it's like a really silly way of it happening, but it should be. It's South Park, so I like it.
Zombies can be overdone, especially in our modern culture, but
of course.
Done right and done well, zombies can be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
I really, really like this episode. I almost said I love this episode.
Ooh.
It's going to be interesting to see where this all shakes out in the rankings at the end. For me, I can vividly remember, I don't know why, but I can vividly remember watching this episode for the first time in my friend's basement.
Oh,
I don't know if that's a fake memory or not, but I feel like that's where we watched it.
Sure.
And for me, this is like the first like classic episode. I think that this episode is a lot of fun. I think it's goofy and silly. I think it represents the best parts of those type of episodes of South Park, of being goofy and silly and still like having, parody and stuff like that. The guys, Matt and Trey, because they weren't confident in the ending, they thought that people weren't going to like this episode. They thought that people were going to think it's like, they were like, I guess it's like a bad episode. Like I guess we're
it's
gonna
one of
have
those weird one-offs that are just gonna be like, throw away.
And then people generally think that this is a very good episode, and I
well, I mean, I like that
really
it's like
great.
a themed like episode too, so it's like it's just fun.
I think this is a very, very fun episode of South Park. So folks, for those of you at home, hopefully that this is becomes part of your routine. I think this one is a rewatchable one for Halloween for sure. Hopefully that this part of the podcast is part of your seasonal listenings as well. Okay, so Rachel and I have to get headed over to that costume contest. Did you figure out what you're going to wear yet?
Well, I think I have something.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not going to tell me what it is?
No, it's a surprise.
All right. I'll tell you what I'm going to wear.
Okay, what are you going to wear?
Chewbacca.
Of course you are.
All right, we're going to head out to this contest. We'll be back, though, next time with more South Park. Okay, get. Do you have the costume? Are you?
I have it. I have it.
2 tons of candy, Raging.
I know.